You're good.
Hello and welcome into everybody tuning in on the YouTube stream. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to go ahead and hop into the debates with Trump supporters for the day. In fact, we already have our first Trump supporter on the line. His screen name is GoArmy.com. Go Army.
Together we are
For everybody tuning in on the YouTube live stream, I understand that we just started for the day, but we're going to have to hold off that intro for another minute or so because over on the TikTok stream, we just had Christian drop a TikTok universe. And for those of you that don't know what a TikTok universe is, it is the single-handedly largest gift that you can receive on the platform. So, Mr. Christian, thank you so much for the love, bro. Jesus Christ. Can we please have everybody that is tuning into the live, both on TikTok and on YouTube, spam some W Christians in those live chats? Christian, that is so incredibly kind of you, bro. I really appreciate you for your kindness and your continued generosity. I really hope that you're doing all right, man. And very seriously, thank you for the love. Everybody, please show some love to Christian down below in that chat for their insane generosity. While we're starting off that first stream, seriously, guys, let's, as I already said, get some W Christians down below. Man, I really do appreciate it. That is nuts. But go ahead, Go Army. I apologize for keeping you waiting. Take it away. Tell us why you support Trump.
Oh, yeah, I support the deportation of illegal immigrants. I don't think the Trump administration or ICE is, doing it in the most forceful way that I would like to see. And I also support Donald Trump's decision, whatever he makes on Iran. Me personally, I think they should have been wiped off the map long ago.
I have a question. How do you feel if Israel got nuked?
Oh, I don't like Israel either.
Oh, are you an American first groiper?
No.
No, okay. Well, I mean, listen, I want to talk about mass deportation, but before we do that, we got to talk about what you just said about Iran. I think only despicable POSs would say that a bunch of innocent civilians deserve to die, and that's what you just said.
They wouldn't be innocent in my eyes.
There's not a single innocent person in Iran? Even the young children? Absolutely they're not innocent?
No, absolutely not. If you're not going to afford that same privilege to people that you say are MAGA, why should we offer it to Muslims and the regime that's in power over there?
Okay, so you just said if I'm not going to afford the same privilege to MAGA, why should you offer it to literal babies? So I actually don't think that we should genocide all Trump supporters in America the way that you think we should genocide everybody from Iran. And you're saying that the ultimate reason you'd support that genocide is because they're Muslims. So are you kind of like Hitler? Then? Because Hitler wanted to kill everybody that's Jewish, you want to kill everybody that's Muslim?
No, I'd say I'm worse than Hitler.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I don't think Hitler went far enough.
Oh, you don't think that Hitler went far enough?
No.
Okay. Can I be honest with you, bro?
Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, I would love to know what your full name is and where you live.
My name is Leonard Mers, and I live in Jacksonville, Florida.
What did you say your name was?
Leonard Mers, and I live in Jacksonville, Florida.
Leonard. How do you spell that last name?
Merz.
Okay. What do you do for work, Leonard?
What do I do for work? I'm a welder.
Welder. Could you tell us who your employer is?
Oh, absolutely not. That's all you need to know is that I'm a welder.
How do you feel about
blue collar worker?
How do you feel about if your employer were to figure out that you're supposedly worse than Hitler and you just like genocide? What do you think your employer would do to you? Do you think they'd fire you?
The majority of my work, I'm self-employed. I'm an independent contractor, so I wouldn't really care.
You wouldn't really care. Okay, well, Leonard, I don't award time on my live streams to clown shows like you. But yeah,
clam shows.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's a clam show?
A clown show. That's you.
Why am I a clown?
Yeah, because you want to genocide everybody that is Muslim, and you don't think that Hitler went far enough.
Well, not just the Muslims, the Jews as well. I mean, look at how long they've been in war.
All right, we're gonna move on to the next guest. Yeah, that guy just thinks we should genocide everybody that's Muslim or Jewish. All right. Well, we're not going to afford that any of our time, and I bet everybody watching could disagree. Could agree with me. I bet everybody watching could agree. I mean, right or left, everybody watching could probably agree that we shouldn't afford him any of our time. What's going on, Reese? Do you support Trump?
I love you, Dean. I
All
love
right.
you.
I appreciate you for that love, Reese, but please make sure that you're only hopping in that queue if you support Trump. Jordan, thank you so much for the $20 over on YouTube Super Chat. Jordan says, Dean, thank you for everything that you do. I watch you every day, and your streams are one of the only things keeping me sane in these crazy times. I appreciate you for the love, Jordan. Guys, show some love to Jordan down below in that chat, as well as Jim and I with the $10. Thank you. What's going on? Aridas, do you support Trump?
Yeah, yes, sir.
You do. How old are you?
18,
18. What year are you born in?
2007, January.
And how do I pronounce your name?
Aretas.
Aridas. Thank you so much. Okay.
West Ham are massive everywhere they go.
All right, just came up here to sing. So we're going to move on to the next guest at this point in time. And also, for everybody asking why we're not on our main TikTok account, that's because it got banned. It got banned for a week. So we're going to be on here for the next 7 days. Make sure you're dropping that follow and sharing this account around with your friends. What's going on, Monts? Do you support Trump?
Of course not.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and go over the rules for the queue once again. So this live is, for the most part, going to be found by more supporters than disagreeers. And for that reason, I am going to be putting a massive preface on just trying to find people to debate that support Trump. So if you do come up here and you are liberal, I unfortunately today I'm going to hold a very firm red line and I'm going to ban you. And keep in mind that that's not necessarily something that I want to do, but it's just a rule that I'm going to have to hold in order to sufficiently disincentivize trolls coming up here. Because if we don't, we'll just be talking to trolls and liberals all day long because of the fact that we're on the alt account and there's not going to be as many people in here, and this stream is going to disproportionately be sending out to people that already follow me, part of the fan base, or just support liberals. So we are going to be holding that very firm red line today, very firm red line. Let's go and get that next guest up in here. It looks like Benjamin's taken off. So we got Dav loading into the stream. And seriously, once again, if you happen to be a part of the first 4.7 thousand people tuning in, guys, make sure that you're double tapping. What is going on? Do you support Trump? Dav, we're going to go to give you a countdown from 5 here.
You are a piece of shit, dude.
I'm a piece of shit. I have a feeling you're going to leave. Like right now, right? You're going to leave. You're going to run away. So because you're a beta male. Is that what you're going to do?
You just are a piece of shit.
Okay. Why do you
You
think
and
I'm
your
a...
boy.
Sure. Why do you think I'm a piece of shit? Sure. Explain it. I don't think that you're going to explain it. I do just think you're going to leave. But I'll ask anyways. Why do you think I'm a piece of shit?
You don't like our president, that's why.
Oh, I don't like Trump. Therefore, I'm a POS. So why does not liking Trump make you a POS? And now he's leaving. See how predictable these people are? Unreal. See, I mean, truly, MAGA is so predictable, everybody. MAGA is so predictable. I mean, I literally told him straight to his face exactly what he would do twice, and he still decided to do it. Let's go to move on to the next guest, everybody. We are in that queue. Once again, make sure that means that we support Trump, and we're ready and willing to come up here and have a debate. What is going on, Kojo? Do you support Trump?
All good, yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, what time is it? All right, you're not from America, so we are going to ban you. Andrew, thank you so much for the $10 over on PayPal. That's incredibly kind. Andrew says, I'm sorry you get banned. It just kind of happens. It just can happen sometimes. I don't really stress about it too much. It's just something that happens. What's going on, Richard? Do you support Trump?
I do. Good afternoon. How are you?
I am doing all right. For everybody on TikTok, can you guys hear Richard? He isn't popping up on the screen, but if you guys could hear him, we could have a conversation nonetheless. So let me know right now if you could hear Richard, everybody. Let me know right now if you could hear Richard. Awesome, you can. So, Richard, why don't you take it away? Tell us why you support the man, the myth, failure, Donald J. Trump.
Absolutely. So I agree with you. I didn't vote for the man's character, but I did vote for his economic policy.
Oh, economic reform. Well, he seems to be really bad for the economy. Can you highlight a way for us that he's good?
Sure. So if you look at some of the numbers that just came out from the Fed, we're trending in the right direction. The big, beautiful bill, while the CRB did score it to be adding to the deficit, one of the numbers that I was actually concerned with in their model was holding GDP static at 1.6%. So I think by cutting some of the spending in mandatory versus discretionary spending,
Can I ask you about your first
we're going to
claim?
get closer. Sure.
So you said that the Fed is telling us that there's a good projection. So what numbers are looking good?
When Jerome Powell came out yesterday, he said he wasn't going to be cutting interest rates quite yet because he wanted to see how tariffs play out. I'm not as informed on tariffs, and it's kind of a wait to be seen. So I think it was a good decision. But he did highlight that unemployment, that inflation, that other metrics that they're looking at were trending in the right direction.
Okay, so what has Donald Trump done so far in his term that's been good for the unemployment rate?
So far, that it's been good for the unemployment. There's not been much policy that he's written yet, and that's taken to affect those numbers.
Okay, so then why do you attribute it to him?
I don't necessarily attribute it to him.
You did.
I'm saying that
You did. I asked you why you think he's good for the economy, and then you said the Fed is indicating macroeconomic variables that are trending in positive directions, meaning that you attribute those positive trends to the efficacy of his presidency and specifically how good he is for the economy.
they're yet to be seen. Some of the things that are being put in place, I think, will grow the overall GDP. I hope that they extend the TJCA tax cuts.
So now
and
you're
then
walking
that
back.
pulling that.
Now you're walking back your first claim.
I'm willing to have an intellectual conversation, be challenged, and be corrected. I enjoy your live stream, so please go ahead.
So just to clarify, you now are walking back the first claim that you made, that Donald Trump has already demonstrated his efficacy for the American economy by onsetting positive trends, by lowering the unemployment rate and lowering inflation, correct?
That is not exactly what I said. You asked me about the Fed chairman's statements from the other day, and I said that it wasn't entirely factual because he pointed to key indicators that were working well. I said that the policies and statements that are being put out by Scott Bessent are trending in the right way, and we might actually have a chance. The big, beautiful bill are going to be things. I'm trying to. I'm saying it's yet to be seen. That things need to play out. Tariff policy and the big, beautiful bill might give us a chance.
Because your first claim was that it's already been seen. So once again, I asked you why you think Donald Trump is good for the economy. You told me two things. The first thing
I
that
said
you told
his economic policies that are being put forward are going to give us a chance to have a balanced budget.
So you told me two things. The first thing that you told me was that, well, we already see positive trends as being reported by the feds in the context of unemployment rate and inflation. And then the second thing that you told me was that you support his economic policy that he set forth, such as the BBB. So
I didn't contribute those factors to Trump. I said that the positive numbers, from May are showing indications that we are going to have a chance for a balanced budget.
You attributed that to Trump because I asked you why you think Donald Trump is good for the economy, and your response was to point out those positive trends. Pointing out those positive trends in response to the question, why do you think Donald Trump is good for the American economy, is attributing those positive trends to Trump. And if you're going to attribute those positive trends to Trump, you'll have to explain to me what Donald Trump did to cause the positive trends.
It is too early to be seen of the policies that he's put in place to be reflected in the numbers. But if the tariffs do work and we are going to extend the TJCA tax cuts and pass the big, beautiful bill, we have a chance to balance the budget for the first time since 2001.
The BBB will balance the budget?
It's not going to be perfect. It actually is going to, I think the CRB's numbers of 4 point, keep me intellectually honest here, Dean. I think they said 4.8.
Yeah, around 4
I think
to 5
that number's. Yeah, I think that number's closer probably to $1 trillion.
Okay, well, I mean, hey, man, I think I'm going to trust the CBO and the CRBF when they say $4 to $5 trillion. But even if you say that you don't trust the CBO or the RBF and you think it's going to cost closer to $2 trillion, that is still half of all of the spending that the Biden-Harris administration signed into law and non-COVID related expenditures in the last 4 years in one bill in the first 150 days in office.
So are we talking in comparisons on who ran a larger deficit between the Biden and Harris and Trump administration?
Yeah. So, I mean, you said it's closer to $2 trillion. That's not what's being reported by financial institutions. Oh,
so
eight. You didn't say $1 trillion. You said 8?
No, one singular.
Yes. Okay. So that's what I was saying. Maybe you misinterpreted me.
And then you also made a claim about the CBO. It's not that I don't distrust the CBO. It's that when they put the model forward, they used a static number for GDP growth. That's what I wanted to point out.
Well, GDP growth isn't concerned when we're trying to calculate how much it's going to add to the debt.
Absolutely is, because it takes in more revenue, more taxable income.
Okay, so that would be a second claim. The first claim is how much it's going to add to the debt.
No, Dean. Let's be intellectually honest
Why are
here.
you interrupting?
The GDP number in the
I don't
model
appreciate the fact that you're
directly
interrupting me.
affects.
That's not nice. Are you going to let me finish my claim?
Please.
So any claim about GDP growth onset by the bill would be secondary to the claim of how much it would add to the debt. If you want to retort the fact that it would add $4 to $5 trillion to the debt by saying it would increase the GDP as well, meaning that we'd experience more government revenue, so we'd be getting an ROI off of the expenditure, that's fine. However, that is a secondary claim that would be used to retort the original claim of how much it would add to the debt. Right? And now that's a claim that you can make in response to my claim that it's expected to add $4 to $5 trillion. So you could say, well, Dean, it's going to expedite the GDP growth by X, Y, and Z amount. Thereby, we will see a return via government revenue that will account for the $4 to $5 trillion in the next 10 years. But I do want to clarify, the government intakes around 30% of what our GDP is in government revenue on a year-by-year basis, meaning that if it's going to add $4 to $5 trillion to the debt in the next 10 years, it would have to add over $15 trillion to the American GDP in the next 10 years in order for us to break even. So do you think that the BBB is going to add $15 trillion to the GDP in the next 10 years?
No, but
Great.
like
then it's how much is it going to add? Because we know that the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act only added around $20 through $40 billion to the GDP per year, according to a study done by two Harvard economists, one right-leaning and one left-leaning. And
there's others contradictory reports on that, and saying that the TJCA extension will add about 1 to 1.5% growth in GDP, which would actually be about $8 to $9 billion. Trillion.
Okay, so now your claim is that basically, by the way, I haven't seen these reports, and that's not a counter report because I'm talking about when it was originally signed into law, not the revival with the BBB. But assuming that the BBB, because we're just going to accept what you just said for face value, assuming that the BBB will add $8 to $9 trillion to our GDP in the next 10 years, okay, and we typically yield around 30% of that growth in additional government revenue, this still is accounting for the totality of the to the total of the $15 trillion added to the debt in the next 10 years, right?
Right. I didn't say that it was going to be...
Actually, I'm sorry. I'm off. It's going to be 50. It'd have to be... Okay, no. I'm sorry. I'm way off. Let's see here. Because it'd add... what is that? No, I was
It'd
on.
be 20...
I was on.
Yeah, you're on. Yeah, you're right. So, like I said,
so overall, it's still going to be putting us in a lot of debt.
Going back to the top of the question on why I supported Trump, I believe we were presented with two bad choices with someone like myself this is the single biggest issue that I vote for. And when you compare who added more to the deficit and who I believed would add more to the deficit, it became clear to me that Trump was the right option.
Okay, well, historically, that's not true. He added twice as much to our debt in his first term compared to Biden and Harris's term, as well as his policy is more expensive in this second term compared to what Kamala Harris's would have been, as well as when we consider the other policy that he runs on. I think that the inevitable conclusion becomes clear. If your primary concern is the American economy, right now Donald Trump would be the last person you'd support due to his mass deportation. Could I tell you why?
So can I address some of your claims first?
That was the only claim that I made.
Trump was... Well, the claim that you made, I don't want to get into immigration right now. You said that the Biden-Harris administration
immigration is directly related.
Less.
Yeah, I did. You can respond to that, but I'd like to clarify that you should be willing to have a conversation with me about immigration, because this immigration policy and reform has a direct negative impact on the American economy. And you just said that your single biggest issue was the American economy.
And Dean, I'm not agreeing with the immigration policy of the Trump administration. We can get in, and probably you can educate me on that, because that is something I'm not as educated on.
Right.
But I wanted to make a claim.
I'll explain to you why that makes him a total net negative, given your position so far.
Okay. So if we can table that, I want to address and get your opinion on this one thing. So if you do pull the CRFB reports, and keep me honest here, the CRFB graded the Trump first administration, due to CV-19 spending and some other policies I didn't agree with, 8.8 trillion was added to the deficit.
Yes.
CRFB graded that the Biden-Harris administration added 4.3 trillion.
4.6.
Now, it was 4.6. Okay. I believe that number is low, and where I'm getting my information is the Budget Committee. Now, granted, it's made up of mainly conservative Republicans, but they added some facts here that I thought were very interesting. The CRFB failed to put in some of the costly executive actions, like ending Medicaid work requirements, thrifty food plan overhaul, government contractor rule, new public charge rule, some expansion of Obamacare, some student loan repayment pauses. And when they calculate all of that, it led to 11.6 trillion. So then as a voter on a single issue, I had to take those things into account, looked at the delta, looked at some of the plans and people that Trump was going to be putting in place, and went that direction.
So you're telling me that apparently the largest tax cuts in American history, the BBB, 831 pages long, will only cost $4 trillion over the next 10 years, but apparently expanding work credits for federal workers on Medicaid will cost nearly $7 trillion. See, that's why I can't trust the CBO. And I mean, I think that you said it yourself. The CBO is not a nonpartisan or bipartisan committee of Congress. They're headed and ran by conservatives for conservatives, right?
So they didn't grade just Medicaid work requirement expansion but when you total all the executive actions, that's what got to 7 trillion. Not just that one thing. I listed off several things that were not accounted for in the CRFB's grade of the Biden and Harris administration's administrator of debt. And then you also said, okay,
so go through them.
Trump is going to add.
Go through them individually.
Okay, individually. Ending Medicaid work requirements when January 2021 cost $3 billion. Implemented an executive order that empowered. We don't need to get into that.
Okay,
that was $3 billion.
$3 billion. Okay, that's 0.0001%. Cool.
Right. Thrifty food plan overhaul, $300 billion.
What is it called?
The Thrifty Food Plan Overhaul. SNAP benefits.
Okay, so the USDA reevaluated the Thrifty Food Plan. Go ahead.
The government contractor rule, another $3 billion. The new public charge rule, $26 billion.
26 bill. Okay, so we're still
Obamacare expansion, $34 billion.
Very low. Okay, I mean, I'm just going to basically accept all these because these are all very small.
Student loan repayment pause, $165 billion. The SAVE plan, $260 billion. The Medicaid eligibility rule, $164 billion. The student loan bailout, $132 billion, differing from the pause. Nursing home minimum staffing rule, $22 billion.
So
new multi-pollutant emission standards, $224 billion.
Can I actually point this one out? So the first thing that you said there was a Thrifty Food Plan. I mean, I just looked up Thrifty Food Plan USDA, went to their website, and it looks like this overhaul was directed by Congress in 2018. via the Farm Bill.
No.
That's what the USDA says.
Okay. No, it was implemented in 2018, but then let's go look at the numbers a little bit. It was expanded upon by 23% in August in 2021.
That's when it was effective.
Biden and Harris. But it was expanded by 23% in overall spending. You have to account for the number that Biden and Harris put into place to expand a program. Granted, that was on the books, but they have to account for that money.
So when I read off of the USDA website, I see no allocation of an expansion in 2021. I only see a program that begun to be effective in 2021 that was directed to be signed in by Congress in 2018 under the Farm Bill. So, I mean, where are you reading about an expansion?
Okay. If you go to budget.house.gov/press release, you will find this report. Budget.house.gov. And then it's the fact check alert debunking the CRFB's analysis of Trump and Biden impacts on the national debt.
You're just re-referencing me back to the Republican committee. So, I mean, who should I trust more? What the incredibly partisan conservative Republican committee says about the Thrifty Food Plan, or what the USDA, who is in charge of the Thrifty Food Plan, says?
There's multiple sources. I can go and pull those. But I mean, we can get bogged down into that. But I mean, it is.
Yeah,
it is here.
That's what you want. You want to get bogged down into it. I'll do it. Right. I mean, I would honestly prefer to have a conversation with you about how Donald Trump's immigration policy seemingly contradicts your goals here. But I mean, if you want to get bogged down in these specifics, we could do it. Right. And like seemingly, like we've already like pointed out like one marker of unreliability on behest of the CBO and their reports and critiques of the CRBF. I mean, like the first one was the fact that they pointed out an expansion of funding under the Thrifty Food Plan in accordance with the USDA. But then even the USDA
Well, then let me
says
ask
that
you
this was a
this. So I
direction of
can't.
Congress in 2018.
So let me ask you this then. Is it not true that the SNAP program from 2019 to 2024 has increased over 40%?
I hope that the SNAP program has increased. Now, what did the
Well,
Biden-Harris
Dean, I have a
administration do to
hard,
make it increase?
a lot of
Do you mind if I
times
ask you? I'm
that
just curious. What policy did they pass to increase it? Like, I'm just genuinely curious.
I do not know the exact policy,
Oh.
but I look at the numbers and
Oh.
see from 2019 to 2024,
Uh-huh.
that program, which is a mandatory spending, increased 40%. And I just don't think that's a relative increase that is necessary. And Dean, I think a lot of times
So we
Republicans
could agree
and
that, like,
supporters.
so then
Well,
we
hold
could
on. Let
agree
me
that-
finish one claim.
Well,
Let me finish
how do
one
you
claim,
know
and then I'll
that
let you talk.
relative increase was directed by the by the policy of Biden and Harris compared to some
They were
relative
in
increase
charge.
by year?
They were in charge. Well,
Oh, so you're
40%
just saying
seems
that
pretty.
so you're just saying that it happened under their administration,
40%,
therefore they
Dean.
caused it?
Dean,
I want to see a
40%
directive
seems
of
pretty.
theirs.
40% seems pretty substantial in their leadership. So
Sure, tell me what they did to cause it. That's all.
the Democrat Party was in control at that time, and they should stop this. So here's my point.
So then you'd be able to
that y'all
point out
make
like a
the
bill that
left-
they passed, because we're talking about debt signed into law, right? That was my original claim. How much debt did the presidency sign into law? Show me where they signed this debt into law and expanded the food stamp program. This was just a genuine good faith question, and you don't have an answer.
So you made a claim that you love the increase of it, and we get accused on the right
Thanks.
a lot that we do not have a heart for people that are worse off than ourselves, and that's just not true. What I look at is that this is not sustainable for the long future.
Okay.
Since we haven't run a surplus since 2001.
I thought that we
Now
were debating the
so
debt they signed into law. Now we're not.
yeah, this is so. I'll pose the question back to you. Do you think
Great.
from 2019 to 2024, a 40% increase in SNAP benefits is appropriate, as well as a 30 and change increase in Medicaid spending is appropriate?
We could talk about if the expenditure is appropriate after we finish the original conversation that you started, by the way.
You
about-
run
okay,
from
okay.
things that the administration.
Let me know when I
You
can
do the
finish
same
speaking.
thing. You do the same thing to guests that I've seen you come up here. Once
I
you
would love to finish
have
being
an
able to speak.
uncomfortable, once you have an uncomfortable
Mhm.
situation, you run from it.
Okay, well, I'm
What?
not, and I could explain to you how, but you don't want me to be able to explain. That's why you interrupted me
Please.
during my explanation.
No, please go ahead.
Because we were having a conversation about how much debt the administration signed into law in accordance with the numbers as reported by CRBF and the CBO. And you're telling me that the CBO had critiques of the CRBF reported expenditure. And when we were able to talk about two of those critiques so far. The first critique relating to a plan as introduced by the USDA. I pointed out that plan was directed by Congress under Trump's first term. We moved on to the second critique that the CBO had that you upheld, relating to a 40% increase in food stamp benefits. And then I just simply asked you, since we were having a conversation about how much debt the presidency signed into law respectively, what policy or memorandum EO did the Biden-Harris administration pass that led to this 40% increase in the last 5 years? And instead of answering that question, you then, with very subtle rhetorical sleight of hand, redictated the conversation to if I think that change is appropriate, regardless if that change was made by the Biden-Harris administration. However, right, a conversation about if I think that change in spending is appropriate is completely different than the conversation that we're having related to this being debt signed into law by the Biden-Harris administration to authenticate the critiques as granted by the CBO of the original reports from the CRBF. And I really don't appreciate you painting this as me running from an uncomfortable conversation. At the end of the day, I think the uncomfortable conversation was you defending the CBO's critiques of the CRBF's reporting of debt signed into law, and you actually are now trying to use that rhetorical sleight of hand to run away from that. Okay, right, but I don't really want to get
Also
into
go
the
back
meta.
to the.
I don't.
I've-
One
I found-
second.
I found that- No, no, no.
One
You
second,
talked.
Robert.
You just
No,
talked.
don't interrupt
It's
me.
Richard.
I'm not done speaking, Robert.
It's Richard.
Okay, Richard, Robert, whatever the hell. I'm not done speaking. So I want you to answer my good faith question, because keep in mind, this was just a good faith question that I had. I was just curious. What piece of paper did Biden put a signature on to sign this debt into law?
So then I'm just looking it up now, and I found where the Thrifty Food Plan was reevaluated by the Biden and Harris administration. The result, it was in a 21% increase in the maximum SNAP benefits for a single family of four, the largest permanent increase in the program's history. They also put temporary pandemic increases on SNAP, 15% in December in 2020 through December or September of 2021. This amounted to about $28 extra per person per month. They increased access to online purchasing, they supported for states, and they addressed emergency allocatements, and they extended the pandemic BEPT. So your claim that you couldn't find anything and that this was just completely unfactual has been proven once again that's untrue.
Okay, great. Well, the issue with that critique is its reevaluation was by whom?
The Biden and Harris administration.
The
August
US
of 2021,
the
like I
US
said,
Depart-
at the very top.
The U.S. Department of Agriculture. Okay, and once
Who
again, when we're having
appointed who appoints the leaders of the U.S. Department of Agriculture?
So this is the difference between the claim that you're making and the claim that I made. I claimed that Biden had signed significantly less debt into law compared to Trump. That's going to be looking at the policies that are passed through Congress then signed into law, not the reoccurring expenditure and the reevaluations done by proximate agencies such as the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Now, if you want to baselessly associate this with debt signed into law by Biden, I don't care, because at the end of the day, it's a very minuscule amount of money. Spending a couple $1 billion to increase
it's $7 trillion.
$7 trillion? That was the reevaluation of the supplement to the Thrifty Food Plan?
No. That's not what I said. When you add all the things that I've been trying to list off.
So then how much was it for the Thrifty Food Plan? Because that's what I'm talking about.
I said at the very top of this, the Thrifty Food Plan accounted for, let me pull up once again.
Is he gone?
No, I'm here. I'm sorry. $300 billion.
Yeah, exactly. $300 billion. So I'd listen.
These things add up.
I would really appreciate it if you could allow me to finish. Thank you so much, Richard. I appreciate that. So debt signed into law by Biden is going to be congressional policy, or it's going to be executive order signed into law. A reevaluation done of a plan by the U.S. Department of Agriculture isn't necessarily debt signed into law by Biden, because that's not an update of a new law. That is not a law signed into effect. That is going to be a reevaluation of a plan set forth by a department and proximate to our federal government to increase benefits. And these reevaluations are done on a reoccurring basis. And because these reevaluations are done on a reoccurring basis, this is also going to be ignored by the CRBF as it relates to all reevaluations done under Trump's first 4 years, included those onset under the directive of the Farm Bill. So that's why the CRBF is going to exclude that. And the critique of the CBO explicitly of the Biden-Harris expenditure, I would argue, is likely ignoring the same reevaluations of reoccurring expenditure under Donald Trump's first term. But I have a question for you. Because you seem
number
to be
one, it's the number one is the CRFB. And number two, let me ask you the question, why does it matter, in your opinion? To me, debt is debt. So why does it need to be enacted by law for you to care about leadership appointments that the Biden administration made that had made these reevaluation decisions?
Okay, yeah, because that's going to be reoccurring. The reevaluated decisions, insofar as what our expenditure is on things such as food stamps, are going to be reoccurring and always happening. Like I'd bet you every dollar in my bank account that we saw similar reevaluations or a reevaluation at all under Donald Trump's first term. But okay, now that I answered your question, I'm going to ask you a question. Okay. Now that you've asked me a question, I'm going to ask you a question. If you really care about debt, if you really care about the performance of the American economy, Donald Trump would be the last president you would ever support because of how expensive his mass deportation is for America. According to the Center on American Progress, it's estimated that the total contribution of all undocumented immigrants, whether it be their direct contribution to the GDP or the surplus productivity that our producers would enjoy predicated on their participation in the workforce, is anywhere from 1.1 to 1.7 trillion dollars per year. And the Center for American Progress estimated in a report done in 2020, don't worry, I've accounted for today's GDP, that if we were to deport every undocumented immigrant tomorrow, our GDP would fall by anywhere from 4.2 to 5.8%, or that 1.1 trillion through 1.7 trillion dollar figure, right? So that's like a huge hit to the GDP. And then when we look at, I mean, like the reoccurring costs, if we were to deport every single undocumented immigrant in America tomorrow, that same agency would report that that would cost over $300 billion. Or if we were to deport 1 million immigrants for 10 years, it would cost on average $88 million per year. $88 billion per year, totaling to close to $1 trillion over the next 10 years, as well as if we were to account for what they pay in taxes, which is $100 billion per year, that'd be another $1 trillion over the course of the next 10 years. So in total, the GDP would fall by anywhere from 1.1 trillion through 1.7 trillion dollars per year, and it would cost close to $2 trillion over the next 10 years. So because of these incredibly negative economic outcomes that are observed in the American economy as a result of a mass deportation, Donald Trump would be the last president you'd ever support.
Okay, lot to unpack there. There was a couple of claims that were made at the top when I was listening. You said that, oh, $1 trillion, not a big deal. So we're talking about $1 trillion. Now, I want to say at the top of this, I do not necessarily agree with the immigration policies that's being conducted, and you're actually seeing Donald Trump walk back from it.
Yeah,
I believe
he walked
that
back, but then he walked back the walk back. Fun fact. So they're back to deporting individuals that work in hospitality, hotels, and service sectors.
That's right. That's right. And I agree with that. And I want to point out that I believe it was a political thing. I believe that we do have a racist history in our country that I don't stand for. And I think Steve Bannon is one of the most evil men on the planet, and that he pushed him to saying, we got to get everybody out. I'm hoping some more cooler heads prevail in the administration. And we're seeing that kind of walk back and walk back the walk back, as you had mentioned.
Right.
As far as the total cost of illegal immigration, those are projections as well. We really don't know. The data on illegal immigration is very, very poor. The data on tax collection is very, very poor. So those numbers that I see in the sites that you said, I don't know what to make of them. They're trying their best, but it's on poor data.
Okay. Why is it poor data?
We don't really know even how many people are across our southern border
And why does
or
this mean that
here illegally.
And why does this mean that the IRS doesn't know that undocumented immigrants pay close to $100 billion per year in taxes via ITINs on W-2s? I actually don't think it's too complex to conclude who's going to be working on a work visa through DACA, or who's paying on an ITIN, not a social security number, because they don't have a social security number as a W-2 employee. I don't
So
think
you're
that's
correct. You're correct.
I don't really think that's going to be unreliable data.
I'm not saying that, but then you've got to look at because we don't know how many people are here, are we losing net because of the social benefits that are being passed out, or going to the hospital, or different things like that? So yes, why you say that, and I agree with you, the IRS has collected $100 billion. Do you actually think that it doesn't cost us more money to have those people in our country? I have a heart, and I don't want to deport everybody.
That's also not hard data. That's also not hard data to reconcile. If somebody goes to an emergency room and they don't have any form of health care, and inevitably Medicaid ends up cutting the bill because of that fact, as well as they don't have a social security number to give to the hospital because they're not a citizen, okay, well, that's also pretty reliable data. And then even about social safety nets. I mean, undocumented immigrants don't qualify for any federal social benefits outside of what Medicare.
No federal, but there's a lot of state, and then the federal flows to the state.
If you'd allow me to finish. They don't qualify for any federal benefits outside of what Medicare expenses for access to emergency services via Humanitarian Act passed in 2015 under Obama's second term. And then as it relates to state benefits, well, the state benefits that undocumented immigrants can receive are designed for them with intention, and the state knows exactly who's collecting those benefits and exactly what that total number would be. So I don't think that like the economic data is poor or unreliable at all. I think that the only data that I would agree with you is unreliable is maybe how many undocumented immigrants there are in the country. But as soon as we start like moving on from that first assumption and we move on to, well, how many of them are in the labor force? How much do they pay in taxes? What kind of benefits do they receive? That's when the data becomes incredibly reliable.
There was one point, and I'm actually just asking here. I do not know on the unreliable data around the cost of illegal immigration. Is the claim that you are not allowed to ask citizenship status for enrolling a kid in a public school true or false? I've heard both sides.
I don't know. I'm not aware.
Yeah,
You'd have to ask
that
somebody
cost.
else.
Yeah, that cost would add up. So those are things I'm pointing out to.
Education for the children of undocumented immigrants is the largest cost that you could contribute to undocumented immigrants. However, I feel
Yeah,
like this claim is misinterpreted by a lot of people on the right because one, a lot of the children a lot of the children of undocumented immigrants are natural U.S. born citizens that are born in the
agreed.
country. Now, like, if you agree with that, I don't need to offer you further explanation.
Yeah,
But like the further explanation there would be that the like labor force participation rate for undocumented immigrants is significantly higher than citizens because
I
of their
agree.
age
I agree
demographic.
with
So you
I
agree
agree with
there
that too.
that a lot of the
And
younger
I actually
children are
have
citizens. So those
yeah.
are not categorized as an expense for undocumented immigrants. And then what is expensed on like the very few children in our public educational systems that are undocumented immigrants. Well, guess what? That's gonna yield an ROI. I would love to spend money on any child in this country, regardless if they're a citizen, a resident, or an undocumented immigrant that's getting an education, because of the long-term ROI that yields for the American economy, right?
I
But
don't
I
disagree.
feel
I
like
made the claim that I made the point just to say where it could be in the data where some of the total cost of illegal immigration isn't properly calculated. Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't educate these children. I'm just trying to point out some scenarios where it is very hard to put a number to the net benefits of illegal immigration if they exist.
so it does. So it becomes really hard when we're talking about their children. And that's where
Right.
conservatives run wild, is because what the conservatives do, and I'm not just talking out of my ass here, I'm talking about a report that came from the House Republicans on January 21st, the day of Trump's inauguration, saying that undocumented immigrants cost us $155 billion per year. And what they included in that is the educational costs of all the children of undocumented immigrants, with very liberal estimates, regardless if they were citizens, the cost of any EBT or food stamp benefits from the federal government that we know specifically would only go to the citizen children of undocumented immigrants. They attribute those all to the undocumented immigrants. But I feel like, even if we accept that incredibly outrageous claim by the House Republicans, still
I agree with you.
they would be granting more into the economy than taking away, because we would also have to consider that $88 billion per year cost of the immigration, cost of the deportation, as well as the overall contribution to the GDP. You know what I mean? So let's just take that most liberal estimate from the conservatives of $155 billion per year, and that is still yet being beat if we were to remove every dollar they pay in taxes and add on the cost of annual deportation. And
I
then
think we
we're not
would.
even
I
having a
think we have
conversation
a.
about the GDP contributions.
I think we'd have more to agree on illegal immigration than you would be surprised. Um, so I'm agreeing with what you're saying on that. And
Yeah. But I guess like the fallout of this
yeah,
claim would just be that mass deportation is really bad for the economy. And I guess when we isolate for that, this is a huge this is a huge con of the Trump administration as it relates to furthering the American economy. And I mean when we look at other things such as like I mean you're an educated guy, you've probably looked at this, what the CBPP says about the outcomes of the BBB effectively reducing the after-tax income for 80% of Americans, and the rebounding effects of the now 55% tariff that we have on China ultimately being taken up by the American consumer, which is yet another regressive tax that hurts you more the less money you make. We see a massive redistribution of wealth from the poor to the rich, which reduces consumer confidence. That's why consumer confidence is at an incredibly low point right now. It reduces the overall productivity of the consumer base because it's the average American that's being hurt the most. And then compile that with mass deportation, which we've already agreed is a total net loss for the American economy. I just don't think that we're having a picture painted of an economic genius that's going to send America into the golden age.
okay. Wanted to address one point on that. I tend to agree with you on certain aspects, but not all of the aspects. One of the things about tariffs that I think is underutilized is the anticipation of AI really resetting the global landscape and how we work in general. And we saw in CV19 the displacement of the supply chains by not having a lot of the manufacturing industrial base here. I get the point that we don't have the ability to replace that with the current workforce that we have, especially with mass deportation. But what I'm seeing the trend coming is an AI and robotic revolution where those jobs are going to be needed to be onshored here from a strategic United States perspective of leading in that and not relying on other countries for essential goods. And then hopefully those means of production will be taxed, and then we could put in place a universal basic income. Those were a lot of claims, so I'll stop right there.
Well, first about the AI revolution, dude, I'm not going to be sympathetic to it until we have damning evidence to show it, right? Like, I don't know. We heard the crypto bros say the same thing about like decentralized, like DeFi currency. We're going to have the crypto revolution. It's going to revolutionize the way that we buy and exchange goods and commodities. It never happened. You know what I mean? Same thing about AI. I mean, I think it's worthwhile to invest in AI, but I think claiming that we're going to have this AI revolution is, we definitely don't have enough evidence to believe that. I'd say that's probably a less reliable claim than any claim that even conservatives make about the expenditure on undocumented immigrants. So if you don't even look at the claims about expenditure on undocumented immigrants for that reason, we also probably shouldn't be holding to the hard conclusion about this AI revolution. But then about onshoring more jobs, well, I mean, hey man, specifically tariffs on China, for whatever reason, don't really seem to onshore many jobs. I mean, just look at, you know, what his tariffs on China in 2017 led to. We actually saw more jobs offshored under Trump's first term with the tariffs on China than we did see under the Biden-Harris administration with some of their policy that was directed to subsidizing manufacturers, such as the Chips and Science Act. So, I mean, I think for that reason, we should be more focused on investment in American industries than tariffing the hell out of people across the globe, because not only does it lead to worse outcomes for the economy, but it also leads to that regressive tax on you the less money you make. And I mean, if you want to see what the anticipation of those tariffs led to for investment in American industries, I just recommend going on Fred and typing in private fixed investment in American
The Fred
manufacturing.
St. Louis and the
we'll
manufacturing, and it's stagnant after. I'll give you that, but it's an influx of cash that's artificially propping it up. That's unsustainable over the long period of time. So where I think it feels,
artificially
I think
propping it up. What do you mean by
I
that?
think
Can we
where
examine that
I
real quick?
think
What do you
where
mean by that?
I think where we philosophically differ is that government investment will directly lead to an outcome where I'm going to sit in and saying by lowering taxes and other things and deregulating policy will lead to GDP growth, which overall shrinks.
I was
that's where we
evaluating
philosophical differ.
I wasn't evaluating government investment. I was evaluating private investment. And then you
Well,
said,
you referenced the CHIP Act.
oh, for sure. But in my claim about the stagnation in investment in American manufacturing, I was specifically referencing private investment.
And then how did the Biden and Harris administration enable, through robust regulatory environment that they implemented, a boom in private investment toward manufacturing?
I would be happy to go over that point with you after you could respond to the original reason why I brought this point up related to the anticipation of his tariffs causing the stagnation.
The tariffs causing stagnation?
Yeah, stagnation
on the initial
in private investment in American manufacturing.
No, I agree with you on that point.
Okay.
I believe that the policy was poor in that instance. I think that Trump's whole idea around tariffs has definitely flaws, especially with the blanket of tariffs. I think we could be very more targeted. I will disagree with you on the fact that AI isn't going to be a technological revolution. I mean, I know you probably have an opinion of David Sachs, the AI czar, but I think he's a pretty smart individual, or Mark Andreessen, or things the Silicon bros, as you said, are saying here. But we're already seeing it with Waymo. We're seeing it being replaced in Amazon factories. Good jobs are being replaced by robotics. You can't say that it's not going to be a disruptor in the overall job market for the United States, especially with uneducated people.
I don't understand how this relates to your original claim that you support Donald Trump's 55% tariff on China. And then also keep in mind, we're probably rearing the end of our conversation. I've been live for an hour and I've spent most of that hour talking to you.
Yeah.
And I like to try to keep my conversations to like a meeting of around 30 minutes. But this has been a good one, so I've let you stay up for longer. But if you want to finish out that point, I don't understand that this relates to why you'd support Trump's tariffs on China. Then honestly, in that last breath there, you said that you actually don't support. I mean,
I thought the 2017. I did not support it in 2017. I support tariffs by.
So why didn't
putting
you
in
support
place
tariffs
in-
on China in 2017, but you do now?
The AI landscape has very much changed.
Why would
That's
why would the AI landscape be like this pivotal marker of why you would or wouldn't support the tariffs on China?
To steer private investment, to not have those facilities overseas and put them in the United
Steer private
States.
investment. I thought that we agreed that his tariffs stagnated private investment.
Before the AI and robotic revolution, the people wouldn't put manufacturing jobs here if they had no workforce
Sure.
to serve them.
So I thought that we just agreed that those tariffs stagnated private investment, and now you're saying that you support them because they steer private investment. Less than 45 seconds after you agreed with me that they stagnated it. I don't understand this.
Dean, I don't think you are hearing me. So what I'm saying is, when you put it in 2017, it was pre-AI and robotics revolution. It was starting, but it's not as advanced as it is now. We didn't have as much as an understanding of it. So if I'm a private investor and I'm looking at the tariff situation, I still was going to pay the tax because of the cheaper labor abroad, and I didn't have a workforce to fill those jobs in the United States. Now that AI and robotics are changing that landscape and implementing tariffs, I am going to look about private investment and putting manufacturing jobs here and utilize
But that's the
robotics
thing, the
and
tariffs-
artificial intelligence.
The tariffs
For
today,
robotics.
the tariffs today stagnated investment, private investment. So that's the point that I made earlier.
Oh, from the Fed, it's pretty early. I mean, even Jerome Powell comes up yesterday and says that the total impact of tariffs has not been seen, positive or negative. That's why he hasn't cut interest rates yet.
Okay.
So the Fed report on it's not. It's true in the fact, but
Okay, well,
there's not enough time yet to play that out.
Okay, well, if you're saying that there's not enough time to play it out, insofar as me making the claim that they've stagnated investment in American manufacturing, even though we already have a financial quarter of our belt where it went stagnant after 3 years of consistent growth, then you definitely have no basis to make the claim that it will steer more investment into private manufacturing, meaning that we should probably both hold suspended judgment or agnosticism on the point. And because we should both hold suspended judgment or agnosticism on the point, all that this means is that you can't debate the point.
Because we both have to hold suspension on the judgment means that I'm wrong. That's where I'll disagree with you. I'll agree with you.
It does.
on
It does.
we
It
can
does. Yes,
suspend-
it does. It does. It does mean that you're wrong. That's the reason that
Okay.
the reason it makes you wrong is because given that we both have to hold suspended judgment, this would make the logical implication that therefore we can't hold a judgment. And it is a judgment to say that they will steer more private investment. And because the original claim that we'd have to remain agnostic on the point would make that logical implication that we can't make a judgment, you can't say that they will drive more private investment.
Well, we can agree to disagree on that point, and I know that
Come on, that's
you're
unfair.
wanting to move on to
Okay, I do
another
want
guest.
I do want to
but
move on, but before I move on, I think that's unfair
Yeah.
because you specifically told me that I can't make a long-term judgment. So why can you?
I'm agreeing with you. I think that we should both hold off judgment to see. I agreed with you on the 2017. I made the decision that I believe that tariffs are necessary because of an AI robotic revolution. I'm projecting in the future. You told me to hold off judgment
Oh.
on that, and I'm agreeing with you.
Okay, so then you don't have an argument that they will be good in the long term. Okay, sounds good, man. Well, how about this, Richard? I appreciate you for coming up. Thank you for the good conversation.
Well, I'll wrap it up with this, Dean. I think this was a very productive conversation. I believe that there's more in common with some level-headed people in my party that you can have. So I just want to thank you. I do learn a lot from you, so I appreciate you.
No, man, I appreciate you for the conversation too. I like the level-headed conversation with people that have done a little bit more research than the average Trump supporter. They're always fun.
Absolutely. Have a good day.
Take care. All right, we're gonna move on to the next guest, everybody. We just had it was a pretty in-depth conversation that got a little bit more in depth than most conversations. Let's go and get that next guest. We got Oliver loading up in, everyone. I really hope that there's more in-depth conversations show you guys that I don't just hold like that surface level knowledge to get the quick dunks on the average Trump supporter. That's another reason why I like that, because God, I see it all the time. People saying that, oh, Dean isn't actually smart. He's a pseudo-intellectual that doesn't know anything. I hope conversations like that could refute that claim. What is going on, Oliver? Do you support Trump?
Yeah.
Oh, that is going to be a child, so we got to go ahead and kick them out. We got to kick the kid out. Oh my gosh, yo! Christian, thank you so much for the $100 over on PayPal. This was 27 minutes ago. I really hope that you're still in here. Thank you so much for the love, Christian. Thank you. Christian has explicitly asked me not to read out his message, so I will not. But guys, let's get at least 1,000 Christian W's down below in those live chats, literally right the hell now, as well as Susan with a $10 40 minutes ago saying thank you for being a voice of reason and truth. I really appreciate you for that love, Susan. Thank you so much. Show some love to Christian down below, and please also show some love to Susan. You guys are awesome. So everybody, we are going to go ahead and do a little quick restart on the stream. And for those of you that are curious why we're not on our main account, but rather on this DNC Dean account, it's because we got a week ban on the main account. Why? Well, I couldn't tell you why. It is what it is, and that all that means is that we'll be on here for the next 7 days. But honestly, with this account, it looks like we got to give it a little bit of an extra push to get it sending out so we could, get more people in here. So here's what I'm going to have y'all do. I'm going to end the live, and when I do end the live, feel free to just click on the profile picture that'll pop up in the middle of your phone screen. You'll be directed to my account. Then you just pull down in 10 seconds, refresh, and I'll be right back on live. And the moment that every single one of you guys get back in here, if you guys could spam the likes, spam the shares, and spam the comment section, that will be awesome. It will really help this stream send out more. And it'll allow us to get more and more debates, and it'll lead to a really productive day. So I will see you all in less than 15 seconds. Everybody, the restart will be incredibly quick. Keep in mind that this will not be a restart that impacts the YouTube stream, only the TikTok stream. But see you guys in around 15 seconds. Please come right on back. Goodbye. All right, for everybody over on the YouTube stream, we are really quickly turning around and getting that TikTok stream restarted. In fact, it already is. We are already back on live, everybody. Look at that. We are already back on live. Wow, that was incredibly fast. We're already back up. Look at that. Look at that, everybody. We are already back up. That is phenomenal. So, yeah, everybody. Welcome back in for everybody tuning in on that TikTok live stream, everybody. Make sure that you are double tapping away on that phone screen and sharing out this live with a handful of friends. Guys, seriously, that will really help this stream send out a little bit more into that For You page. And if you are tuning in and you are MAGA, meaning you support Trump and you are ready and willing to come up here and have a good faith discussion about why you support him with me, that would be awesome. Just go ahead and drop a MAGA accompanied by your age down below in that comment section. We'll get you pulled up here. So let's go ahead and do that right now, everybody. We're not going to skip a single beat. We're going to hop into the first discussion, but please, everybody, follow the rules. If you are in that queue, make sure that means that you're an American adult that supports Trump. What is going on? Dizana, do you support Trump?
Yeah, what's up, bro? Can you hear me?
Yeah. What time is it?
It's 2:04 p.m. where I am.
Really? What state are you in?
Oregon.
Oregon. What's 2 cities in Oregon?
Well, we got Salem and Portland.
Okay. All right, man. Do you support Trump?
Yeah, I do, but just for the record, I'm not like a full-on MAGA fanatic, but I do support him.
Okay, yeah, so tell us why you support the man, the myth, the failure, Donald Trump. And honestly, I think supporting him makes you a MAGA fanatic, but that's just me. But take it away. Tell us why you support him.
Yeah, so basically, I looked at the 2 candidates, like Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, and I really wasn't impressed by Kamala Harris. Like, she was so uncharming, so weird. I mean, with the accent changes, with not being able to answer the question, how are you going to change the economy? And also, Trump had a really good argument in the debate. Like, she said she was going to fix the economy. He said, why don't you fix it right now? So that kind of made me like, I didn't vote because, I don't know, I just kind of said I'm abstaining from voting, but I still.
So let me get this straight: the rapist is more charming than the prosecutor.
Well, let's not get into the politician. He's a rapist. I don't know whether
you don't want to get into the character of the politicians. Your first point was about the character of the politicians when you said you didn't support her because she was uncharming.
If we would say how many politicians are actually rapists, we would just talk about that and couldn't get anywhere near.
Well, we definitely wouldn't be calling Kamala Harris one, so that made her the lesser out of the two evils.
I don't know whether Kamala Harris is a rapist, but I don't know whether Trump's a rapist. I haven't seen him rape. I haven't seen him being convicted of rape. Have you?
Yeah, he's been held civilly liable for it by unanimous jury of none.
When was that?
When was that? That was in 2023. 2022.
But by charming, rape, I don't mean like charming in the sense of, by charming, I mean, how do I say, appealing to get voted. I mean, being asked the questions.
Appealing. Okay. Well, I don't think he was that appealing either. I mean, he appealed to a lot of people because of the outrageously false claims that he made. He was so incredibly, totally fine with just lying to the American people to get their support. I've never in a million years seen anybody be like him. I mean, he seriously ran on, quote unquote, ending inflation. Obviously, he wasn't ever going to end inflation. He just said whatever it'd take to get the average American without any, education or knowledge on on American politics to just throw him their support, right? And then the second claim that he made was about her changing accents. So, I mean, you don't know what code switching is.
I've seen the videos with the Jamaican accent, with the Latina accent. I've seen it.
Okay.
It's uncharming.
I haven't seen any Latina accent. I don't think that's true. As it relates to code switching to AAVE, that is something she has done, but that's not wrong, and I can explain to you why. But I just want to clarify that you genuinely think that Kamala Harris code switching is seriously worse than Donald Trump saying that Biden was executed in 2020 then replaced with a robotic clone, is seriously worse than him being a 34-count convicted felon or openly boasting about perving on naked underage changing women.
What was your license? Can you hear me right there?
Or you think that her code switching was seriously worse than like Donald Trump boasting about openly perving on naked underage girls changing in their changing in a women's only space? It's like, like the moment that we start to have a conversation about the character of these people, I mean, even though what you're saying is absurd and false and there's nothing wrong with code switching, even if I grant you your position, it's just still insane to say that code switching is worse than being a P3DO, being a rapist, or like sending America back into war in the Middle East. I think that's just like a completely outrageous.
Look, I don't support the war in the Middle East. Just for the record, I don't do that. But I still, when I looked at both of them, I still kind of, thinking that somebody like that, I do not think Trump is like a saint. That's why I think. How bad?
Exactly, but that's just what you chop it up to. So when I point out any of these just abominably, abhorrently bad things that Donald Trump has done, your response is to say, well, you don't expect him to be a saint. But then when you point out that Kamala Harris has code switched, apparently that makes her worse than the fascists. And she's just so unlikable. It's insane.
Not to be taken seriously.
But you could take him seriously, even though he's boasted about perving on underage girls. So okay, why can you take Donald Trump seriously, even though he's an adjudicated rapist that is boasted about perving on underage girls? But then Kamala Harris code switching is enough for you to say that you can't take her seriously.
He's not to be taken seriously as a person, but as a politician.
Answer my question.
Which would be?
If code switching is your red line against Kamala Harris, that means you can't take her seriously. You can never vote or support her. Why is it being an adjudicated rapist or like boasting about perving on naked underage girls not a red line against Trump?
Because we don't have any better ones.
Yes, Kamala Harris. I'll take code switching over grape 10 days out of the week. Keep in mind, there's only 7 days in a week.
The code switching was not the overkill for me. It was just one example.
Okay, so what was the overkill?
The fact that she was in office as a vice president for 4 years. Now she's talking about how she will change the economy. Why doesn't she change it right now? That was like the overkill for me. She couldn't do it in 4 years, but she said, "Give me another 4 years and I'll do it." Come on.
So this is a paradox. Do you want me to explain the paradox to you?
Sure. Go ahead.
So you're asking the question, well, why didn't she already implement the policy that she ran on, right?
Yeah.
Because if she did, then she would have had to run on new policy. The point of a presidential campaign is to run on things that America needs, right? That America doesn't have yet, and that if America did have it, America would be better. So assume one moment. I don't know how to explain this to you. So every president is always going to run on things that they haven't already done, because that is the point of a presidential campaign. The point of a presidential campaign and a presidential platform is to run on things that you do want to implement and that you do want to change in America, all right? Not things that you already have done. Think about it. If she had already done some of the things that she ran on in the election cycle, what would she do? Would he still run? Would she still run on those things? Would she say, "Vote for me to be your president"? I'm not going to do anything because I already did what I intended to do, and that's all I needed to do for America. Or what if she did do something that she ran on? Would she just simply replaced it with something else that she hasn't done yet?
The point that I'm trying to make is she did not. How do I say it? She didn't. Wait, just give me a second.
You made your point clear. Like for instance,
No,
one of the
I
things
haven't-
one
I
of the
haven't
things
yet.
that
I
she
haven't
ran
yet.
on was a
I
$25,000
haven't yet, but the
subsidy
thing is-
for first-time
but the
home
thing
buyers
is-
buying newly developed properties. Well, if she already implemented the $25,000 subsidy in the last 4 years, she wouldn't have ran on the $25,000 subsidy, and she would have replaced it with something else. But then you'd still be asking the same question. Well, why hasn't she already implemented this other thing that she's now running on, replacing the $25,000 subsidy because she already implemented in the last 4 years? Well, if she did already implement that new thing, then she would have changed out that new thing for a new thing, right? Every single time we see somebody running for the presidency, they're always going to be running on things that they want to do in America in the next 4 years. They're never going to be running on things that they've already done for America in the 4 years before.
But what did she want to do? What was like her? I didn't completely get her campaign. I was kind of, getting. But could you explain it for me, like a little, like oversimplified, so I can get it completely?
Yeah, sure. She
Because
wanted to
what-
make the life of 100 million American workers and the low and the middle class significantly better by reducing
how?
income inequity, by cutting their taxes, and by increasing social safety nets. She also wanted to make housing more attainable by building 2 to 4 million new houses in the next 48 years, by incentivizing a larger amount of supply through increased artificial demand through the $25,000 subsidy for new houses. She also wanted to fight for every single American woman and girl by codifying federal protections for access to abortion for every single American woman and girl. And I mean, that's just like, looking at the surface, man.
That's the thing. I'm against abortion. I'm pro-life.
Why?
Well, because I don't believe a fetus should be killed
Why?
and sacrificed in order. Well, why would a human being be killed?
Why would a human being be killed? You're the one that has to give me an argument that it's wrong. Okay? Because I don't have to give you an argument that it's morally permissible. The argument will follow
okay, well,
basically saying,
the
okay, let me
question
finish
is
speaking. Don't
do you
interrupt
think
me.
killing people is wrong? Do you think killing people is wrong?
By people, do you just mean humans that are alive?
Yes, humans.
Yeah, no,
humans.
I don't think it's always wrong to kill a human, no. Come on, self-defense. Come on, brain dead patients pulling the plug on them.
You think killing an innocent baby is self-defense?
No, I'm just giving you an example of a time where it's not wrong to kill a human.
Yeah, well, how does
Would you say that the driving principle behind your abortion view?
Being that hasn't done anything to you?
Yeah, for sure, because I can't identify any trait of the fetus that we should find morally valuable.
So you believe, the more, how do I say it? The more self-sustainable it is, the more rights it has?
No, I never said that. I just said I can't identify anything about a fetus that I should find morally valuable. Why are you misinterpreting my claim?
Well, I can find something that is morally valuable.
Okay, point it out.
Well, it's the fact that it's a human being.
Okay. Well, I don't think that the fact that you're a human being on its own makes you morally valuable enough to be given the right to life. Oh, you do?
I do.
Okay, so
I do, yeah.
that means that you think it's murder when doctors pull the plugs on brain dead patients in the hospital. And
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay. And would you say that genocide can be defined as the intentional systemic murder of a group of people based upon a common characteristic?
Sure, yeah.
And because you think it's murder to pull the plug on a brain dead patient, that means that you think American hospitals are doing a state-funded and chartered genocide by intentionally, systemically murdering brain dead patients based upon that common characteristic?
No, because
okay,
because
so
it's
either this isn't
it's not
intentionally happening in every American hospital every day, or you don't think it's murder.
Would you please let me explain myself? The thing is, genocide is not just let's kill a group of people. It's the intention of removing a race, removing a group of, like, brain dead people are not a particular, I would say, group of people. That's just an unfortunate number of people who.
Well, I think that genocide can be defined based upon the intentional murder, systemic murder of a group of people, not based upon race or ethnicity, but just based upon. Okay, you're interrupting me. Stop it.
But you can interrupt.
Stop interrupting me. Are you going to calm down and let me finish what I'm saying, or are you too scared to let me speak?
Go ahead, brother.
Good boy. So anyways, we'll go back to the definition of genocide. I don't think that genocide is always the intentional systemic murder of ethnicity or... You just interrupted me again.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry.
Is a crash out starting?
What crash out? I'm not crashing out. You're crashing
I think
out.
that this is the start of a crash out when you can't let me speak for
There
more
you
than
go.
4
You're
words.
losing the argument, and now you're stop interrupting me.
Wait, you think I'm losing the argument because you're interrupting me midway through?
On Trump, you did beat me.
So I just want to clarify. You think I'm losing the argument because you're interrupting me?
All right, go ahead, boy.
So do you typically interrupt people when you're beating them in a debate? Because I think
No.
that's something that individuals usually
No,
do
when
when
you're
they're
worth
losing.
listening to, when they're worth listening to, I don't interrupt them.
Oh, okay. So you're just saying that I'm not worth listening to because you know I'm right and you know you can't refute what I'm saying. Particularly the fact that no, genocide is not exclusive to the intentional systemic murder of a group of individuals predicated on only race or ethnicity. My evidence for this would be the fact that, well, if Donald Trump rounded up every single person with green eyes in America and systemically murdered them, can we agree that would be a genocide? Or if Donald Trump rounded up everybody that is blind in America and systemically murdered them, we'd okay. Well, is blindness a race? Is blindness an ethnicity?
Okay, yeah, I admit you did get me there.
Right. So it's just going to be the intentional systemic murder of a group of people based upon a common characteristics. Characteristic can be anything, not necessarily race or genocide. So now that we can agree that is the way that we should use the term genocide, because you think it's murder to pull the plug on brain dead patients, and because hospitals do this with intention systemically across this country, then you do think that there's a genocide of brain dead people in America today.
Actually, yeah, I do.
Great. Is it okay to use violence to stop genocides?
I would say yes.
Okay, so you would be okay with you storming your local hospital, killing the medical health practitioners, and people doing this all across America to use violence to stop the genocide of brain dead patients?
No, I'm saying the pulling the plug should be stopped, and the doctors that do that should be thrown in jail.
So I just want to clarify there. Why are you not okay to why do you think it's not okay to use violence to stop pulling the plug on brain dead patients? Because you agreed that's murder and you agreed it's a genocide, and then you agreed that it's okay to use violence to stop genocides. Seemingly, you have a contradiction here.
Why? Explain why.
Because you agreed it's a genocide, and then you agreed that it's okay to use violence to stop genocides, but then you said that it's not okay to use violence to stop pulling the plug on brain dead patients, even though you think that's a genocide.
Well, by violence, I don't necessarily mean irrationally going and taking justice into your own hands. No. Do you think it's okay to go in with an AK full auto in a prison and shoot everybody dead?
Why would that be okay?
Well, do you think that violence is, how do I say? Do you think that violence can be used to stop rape in prison?
I'm confused. Confused on what the points you're making here are? Because remember, we're just trying to test the claim. Is it okay to use violence to stop genocide? And yeah, I think it is. Yeah, for instance, right? I think it'd be okay to like go and unalive the Yahtzees that were running like the different concentration camps. Absolutely.
Yeah, me too. But I don't.
So do you think it'd be okay to round up and unalive the medical health practitioners that are pulling the plugs on brain dead patients in America?
Well, not unalive, but put in jail. Yes. No,
so then you wouldn't be okay with like unaliving like Hitler and his people either, then?
Yes, I would be, because that's much. How do I say it? Much more radical. Hitler. I don't compare doctors. I don't compare doctors who pull the plug on people with Hitler.
I actually think here that there would be a pretty good comparison between the doctors that pull the plugs on brain dead patients and the Nazis that ran the concentration camps. Because under your view, both the Nazis that ran the concentration camps and the doctors that are pulling plugs on brain dead patients are aiding and abetting in the intentional murder of a group of people based upon some common characteristic that does amount to a genocide.
Yes, but I do not believe that every individual that commits genocide should be treated the same way, because there are multiple degrees of how brutal a genocide is. I think there were worse people than Hitler. I think there are some people that committed genocide that should have been treated worse than what Hitler deserved.
So can you give me the difference between a Nazi foot soldier that ran a concentration camp and a doctor that runs like a brain dead unit in a hospital?
Well, a Nazi soldier kills a Jew out of complete pride and complete hate to that person. So that which means it's utter and complete hate. But a doctor pulling the plug
that actually
on somebody, it's not. If he,
so
he doesn't. Hate the
I need to
person.
correct you on your history. Towards the end of the Holocaust, that the Nazi foot soldiers just simply didn't look at Jewish individuals like they were human, right? They felt completely indifferent to Jewish individuals and thought that Jewish individuals were basically equivalent to like dirt on the ground, basically granting them no moral value. Right, and that's why they were okay with genociding them, because they thought that a better world could be reaped given that. And the comparison here would be to a doctor that would pull the plug on a brain dead patient. But you're saying that the doctors pulling the plugs on the brain dead patients are... So do you think that like a doctor that has pulled a plug on like 20 brain dead patients is a serial killer?
I don't know.
Wait, what? Wait. If I kill 20 people on the street, am I a serial killer?
What? Didn't hear you there?
If I just kill 20 random people on the street, am I a serial killer?
Yes.
So then why wouldn't a doctor be a serial killer for pulling the plug on 20 brain dead patients? Are you saying that brain dead patients don't have the right to life, meaning that it is not murder to kill them? Because under your view, you said it's murder to kill brain dead patients. If a doctor kills 20 of them, that guy's a serial killer. No way around that.
About abortion, you're putting me into a corner and talking about brain dead patients.
Right, because you're supposed to concede that it isn't murder to pull the plug on a brain dead patient, meaning that it does not, meaning that merely being human and alive does not grant you the right to life.
I do not agree.
Meaning that your position on abortion is unjust.
No, my position on brain dead people is unjust, but not on fetuses. I don't think fetuses are brain dead individuals. Brain dead individuals are people who are never going to be conscious and human again, but fetuses are.
Okay, well then you're basically saying that the right to life is not derivative of merely being a human that's alive, but rather derivative of something else. So what about the fetus is morally valuable that makes abortion morally impermissible?
The fact that it's going to be a conscious human being.
The fact that it's going to be a conscious human being in the future.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So you're basically saying that consciousness makes you morally valuable, and if you have
no, it doesn't. No.
So then why would being conscious in the future make you morally valuable?
Well, in comparison to a brain dead person is never going to, how do I say it, to be able to consent to anything. It's never going to be able to live the way a fetus is going to be living.
In comparison to so then why is the fetus morally valuable? Because once again you said that the fetus is morally valuable because it will have consciousness in its future, but then you said that having consciousness does not make you morally valuable. So like imagine this. Imagine that I said that I'm really happy today because tomorrow I'm going to see the Mona Lisa and that's going to make me ecstatic. But then when I actually see the Mona Lisa, I'm going to be very sad. Okay, that doesn't make any sense. So I don't think it makes much sense when you say that a fetus... No, don't interrupt me. Don't interrupt me. It doesn't make any sense when you say that a fetus is morally valuable because it will have consciousness in the future. But consciousness isn't morally valuable. So then why would consciousness in the future be morally valuable?
Okay, wait. Can I just say something before I state my argument? Just a quick thing. I
mean, I would prefer that you'd respond to that.
No, I just wanted to apologize for being a dick.
Thanks for your apology. Now please respond to that.
Okay. So let me put an argument up with a question.
No, I don't want an argument and a question. I want you to respond to my critique of your position. Once again, your position was to say that a fetus is morally valuable because it will have consciousness in the future, but then consciousness is not morally valuable. Please respond to that.
Well, by consciousness, I mean also it's going to be a human being just as we are. A brain dead person is never going to be just as we as a human.
So what does just as we are mean? Are you saying conscious?
How do I say it? Also conscious, living? It's going to be
conscious, living.
Yeah, but also, what would you think is morally valuable in a human?
Okay, you're not going to get around the question that I asked you by asking me a question.
Well, I'm trying to get why. Well, I'm trying to argue on your standard. Why do you think a human being is more valuable? Why a human being is valuable? Because you say not all human beings are more valuable.
I'll repeat my response. You're not going to deflect from me pointing out that your pro-life stance makes no sense and is completely incoherent by asking me what my stance is. I'm not going to allow you to make that deflection.
Why not? Well, I'm trying
Why
to.
not? Because deflections create
I'm
very
trying to
unproductive
understand.
dialogue.
I'm trying to understand why you think it's not morally valid. Why you think?
Yeah,
that,
I mean,
it
if
is
if
not-
you want to concede that your pro-life position is intelligible and completely logically incoherent, I'll give you my position and we can move on. But first, you have to concede. Because I was able to. Okay, if you're not going to concede,
I'm trying to understand
okay,
you and then
sir,
explain to you why.
Sir, well, if you're not going to concede your position, this means that you would have a response for my critiques of your position, particularly the response that you said that a fetus is morally valuable because it will be conscious in the future, yet consciousness on its own is not morally valuable. So either concede that your position is intelligible, or refute my argument against your position. You have two options.
Well, also I would add that not only consciousness makes you morally valuable, but also a fetus is God's creation. Just like I am a Christian. I didn't mention that earlier, so I believe that we are God's creation just as other humans are, and fetuses too.
So abortion should be illegal because it violates the Ten Commandments?
No, it's a reason. It's the reason why I am pro-life.
Okay, so the reason you're pro-life is because
Yes.
abortion should be illegal because it's a sin that violates the Ten Commandments, right?
Well, we were Christians. We don't. I mean, we don't necessarily just like by the Ten Commandments. We have more things to live on than Ten Commandments. The Ten Commandments.
So moral laws are consequential of the Ten Commandments.
It is no
within the Ten Commandments, you embody all sins. Fun fact.
What?
Fun fact. But But I'll rephrase nonetheless because you don't like that wording. So you're personally pro-life. You personally think that abortion should be illegal because it's a sin that transgresses upon God's moral law. Correct?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
Okay. And what is your position rooted in Christianity? I'm confused.
Well, because it kills a human being.
Okay. So then you're completely throwing the idea that the human being is valuable because it's God's creation out. Okay. Well, the reason it's wrong to kill God's creation is because that's a transgression upon God's moral law, right? So in other words, you think that abortion should be illegal because it's a sin that transgresses upon God's moral law.
Christianity doesn't work on it's against the law, so that is why it's bad.
God's moral law absolutely does. Because, I mean, if you just want to say that it's always wrong to kill a human being regardless of what God's moral law says or not, well, then God's not all good because he's commanded the slaughter of human beings, such as the Amalekites in Samuel 14:3.
You don't understand Christian.
You don't understand Christian theology because what a Christian would say there is, well, because God commanded it, the killing and slaughter of those human beings, therefore, did not transgress upon his law. Therefore, it wasn't wrong. But if you're saying that it's not wrong because it's a transgression upon God's moral law, but rather wrong because it's literally killing a human being, regardless of what God's moral law says or not, then God's a bad God. That's not all good because he's literally commanded the killing and slaughter of human beings, regardless if it transgresses upon his law or not.
You didn't understand my point. It's not. I'm not saying it's bad because it transgresses God's law.
That is
because we are because we are undoing a creation of God. That's not necessarily because.
And why is undoing a creation of God wrong?
Well, because we're not God to decide who gets to die and who doesn't.
Okay, and why is it wrong to decide who gets to live and who doesn't?
Because we're not God.
Okay, and why is it wrong to do that when you're not God?
Because we're not God.
So your argument is circular then. You're saying it's wrong to do it when we're not God because we're not God. That's a circular position.
Only God decides who dies and who doesn't, and nobody else.
Okay, so then why is that the case?
Because he is the one who creates and destroys.
Okay, so then why is it wrong for you to create and destroy?
Because I'm not God.
Okay, and then why is it wrong to do it if you're not God?
Because we are not morally perfect.
Because we're not morally perfect. Okay,
Yeah, we're not
well then how do you know that action is morally imperfect?
What, can you repeat that again?
So how do you know that action is morally imperfect?
How do you know that action is morally imperfect?
The easy answer is that it would transgress upon God's moral law, but for whatever reason, you don't want to believe that.
I don't like the word law, that's why. I don't like the word law.
Okay, well then you don't like the Bible. Because
No, I would rather say it transgresses God's teaching or God's moral, not law. We're not based
God's
on law.
teaching, God's moral teaching is God's moral law.
Not necessarily.
Yes, necessarily.
No, not necessarily.
Yes. What?
No.
Okay, give me an example of a moral teaching of God that is not a part of God's moral law.
Giving money to the poor. God never gave a law to say give money to the poor. If you don't give money to the poor, you're going to hell.
So the moral law would be that if you provide to those that are more needy than yourself, then you will be given great glory in the kingdom of heaven, as echoed in Psalms 32.
I wouldn't say that.
That's what the Bible says. So you disagree with the Bible.
It's cited as a virtue, not a law.
Virtues are a part of God's moral law. Having good virtue is of God's moral law.
No, having virtue is not a part of it, but a result from.
Okay, he doesn't even know what the fuck he's talking about. We're gonna move on to the next guest. Dude, please don't try to come up here and have debates with me when you just don't know shit about your own Bible. You know, I spend way too much goddamn time doing research on Christian theology just to be discredited by children that don't even know their own Bible. The Fire Bully, thank you so much for the $20 over on YouTube Super Chat, saying Dean can pick up his guitar and I could hear a better argument. Appreciate you for the $20. That's incredibly kind of you. As well as I'd like to thank Aqua for the $10, Persephone with the 10, and Burger with the 10. That is incredibly kind of you guys. And then Jay, thank you so much for the $150 Super Chat over on the YouTube stream. Jesus, Jay. That is so incredibly kind of you. Thank you so much, Jay. I want to see 1,500.
One sec.
Jay, that is a child. Goodbye, child. I want to see 1,500 JWs down below in the chat for the incredible love. Jay, that is so incredibly kind, bro. Thank you so much. Jay says, I lost my decades-long best friend because of politics, so there's pain in that. I watch you and Parker and note how the both of you work, willingly no less, with your daily dose of MAGA pain. My support is here for the kind of education you guys provide. You teach, I learn. Jay, man, you are seriously here every single day. I really love you, bro. Huge shout out to Jay. As well, shout out to Alania for the $100 over on YouTube Super Chat as well, saying, Dean, you're eating a bit too hard today. I don't know. These guests have been pretty insufferable. Maybe that's just me, but Alania, seriously, thank you so much for the $100 Super Chat. Guys, please show some love to Alania down below in that chat right now. That is so incredibly kind. Huge shout out to Alania and Jay. And what is going on? Gavin, are you MAGA?
Yes, I am.
Okay, real quick. How old are you?
I'm 19.
Okay, what year are you born in?
2006.
Okay, all right. What month?
February 15th.
Sounds good. Let me thank a couple people before we hop into a debate here. Carmen, that's Carmen with a C. Thank you for the $20 over on Venmo. And yeah, happy birthday, Kaylee. Kaylee, if you're watching right now, happy birthday to you. I hope they have a great 18th birthday, Kaylee. As well as Autumn, thank you for the motorcycle. Huge shout out to Carmen and Kaylee, y'all. As well as Abigail, thank you for the $25 over on Venmo. Saying thank you for carrying yourself in a respectful manner and are educated on political topics so well. Thank you for the love, Abigail. Huge shout out to Carmen and Abigail, y'all. Real quick, I'd also like to thank Brittany for the $5 over on PayPal. Mark, thank you so much for the $20 over on PayPal. I really appreciate you for that love, Mark. And yeah, that's all for now. I really appreciate you guys so much for the love. As well as Brooke and Susie, both with the $5 over on Venmo. You guys are awesome. But take it away, Gavin. Tell us why you support the man, the myth, the failure, Donald J. Trump. And Autumn, thank you for the motorcycle.
Yeah, totally. I support him because he's orange. He's destroying our economy.
All right, Miko, I appreciate you for the $10 over on PayPal for schooling the cultists. I appreciate you for that love, Miko. Dude, let's show some love to Miko down below in that comment section right now for the $10. That guy was a troll, so we're going to move on. Keep in mind, we are banning trolls today. What's going on, Tibius? Do you support Trump?
Weirdly enough, I did not vote for him, but I am leaning in that direction at this point, specifically because of his ideas when it comes to Iran, the war, and the Middle East. Now, I think we can agree that I know you're laughing. I think we can agree war is bad, and war is rarely a good outcome. But the issues here that I do think that we as the U.S. are in a position to be able to help the people. Oh, the guitar's out. Oh God. To help the people there in Iran, in Israel, and in Gaza that are suffering.
Okay, so you understand
Now,
that war in the Middle East the first time around under Bush led to more destabilization of the region, which led to the worst treatment of the innocent civilians in the region.
yeah. But right now, we're not doing anything about it. Like, there's nothing happening that's actually going to solve the issue.
Okay,
The
but
war
you understand like
between Israel and Gaza.
what history shows is that like more war involvement from America leads to more destabilization.
Yeah, and
So
I don't think
you're
that.
advocating for more destabilization to make the material
Hold on,
conditions
yeah.
worse.
I don't think that it should be full out war, but I think that we should be doing something right now.
Okay, well
And
Donald Trump has approved full out war. That's what a military strike on Iran would
and
be.
I disagree with that.
Okay, so then why?
I
Whoa. So then
Wait,
you're saying that you're
go ahead.
leaning towards supporting Trump because Donald Trump is doing something that you disagree with. What?
No. I will say that I'm leaning against the left specifically because of the actions and the communication and the things that are completely against doing anything. For example, the protests against Israel, I think, are not helping anybody. Because
Wait, so you're leaning to support Trump because some
no,
people
I'm
on the
leaning
left don't
farther to the
like
right.
Israel.
No, well, yes and no.
Yes and no, that's a contradiction.
Yes, it is a contradiction.
Okay,
but I think
no
it's
contradictions here.
contradictory. Okay, I think it's contradictory to say that we need a full outright ceasefire when there are still, what is it? I think 58 hostages still within Gaza, Israeli innocent people that are being held hostage. We need to be able to do something about that, and it's not necessarily war, but my problem is why I'm leaning to the right is because people are saying we need to, like, the conflict is completely baseless, and we need to like have a complete ceasefire. When
Okay, so are you saying that
Hamas,
you lean more towards the right because they're more pro-Israel?
I am leaning away from the left. The right there are people that are pro-Israel and there are people that are
Okay,
anti-Israel.
dude, if you can't give me a coherent stance, I'm gonna kick you. I've been trying to
Okay,
determine.
yeah, no, I
No.
understand.
Listen. I'm gonna talk. I've been trying to determine why you support Trump for the last 5 minutes.
I don't.
I've not gotten anything out of you. I'm trying to get a solid answer out of you on what is going on, why you support Trump. First, it was because you supported what he was doing towards Iran. Then I got you to agree that's a bad thing. And then you were talking about how the left wants a ceasefire and is more anti-Israel. So that means that you'd support Trump because they're more pro-Israel. But then you said no. So I'm going to give you one last chance. Sum it up in 2 sentences or less, something concrete that we could debate, or I'm going to move on.
Okay, I think that what is happening in Gaza is not a genocide, and that the U.S. should be involved, maybe not through war, but we need to be able to support Israel in defending itself and helping them get their innocent people back from Hamas.
Okay, great. So you
Yeah.
actually do support the right because they're more pro-Israel.
If you want to call it that, then yeah, sure.
If I want to, bro, I'm sorry, man. I'm gonna.
Sorry.
kick,
Okay.
No, I'm gonna.
Wait.
kick you.
Wait.
No,
Dean.
sorry, bro.
Can I?
Sorry,
okay,
bro.
but
Like
I'm-
if we can't even, dude, we still didn't even solidify. Dude, we still didn't even solidify a fucking claim. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, no, get out of here. I just know that you're gonna be excruciating. If you still can't even agree that you're saying that you support the right because they're more pro-Israel, we're just gonna move on. Oh my god. Okay, yeah. I'm sorry, man. People like that, they drive me crazy. Because basically the debate tactic is to give no solid concrete position. So then whenever I say a reason why I disagree with them or why they're wrong, then they just go back to the basis of saying, "Well, I never said that." Right? And I understand that to a lot of people, me kicking him there seemed like weak or whatever, like running away. But no, the reason why I kicked him was because I've talked to a billion people just like him that intentionally don't hold on to concrete beliefs. So then it's absolutely impossible to debate them. What's going on, Just Nobody? Do you support Trump? All right, just nobody's not here, so we're gonna move on to the next guest. Here we go, everybody. Just give us a minute to get that next guest up in the box, y'all. I'd also like to thank Liz. Thank you so much for the $50 over on Venmo. That is so incredibly kind of you, Liz. Jesus. Let's get 500 W's for Liz. That is Liz spelled L-I-Z. Thank you so much for the love, Liz. That is incredibly awesome of you. That is so incredibly kind of you. Show some love to Liz down below in that chat. Literally right the hell now. While we get that next guest loaded up into the live, guys, if you are in that queue, make sure that means that you support Trump. All right. We got Jerry Dove 2 loading up. Why have all the guests today just been absolutely insufferable? It's just been unreal. Let's go and get that next guest loaded in. What's going on, Jerry? Do you support Trump? Okay, Jerry's not here. Jerry, are you here? Jerry Dove 2? Got you on the line. I could hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get on there.
No worries, man. We'll kick you and move on. Liz says, do you think that Trump will actually be able to sell millions of acres of public land to pay for his tax cuts for the rich? I mean, I really hope not. We'll have to see if that ends up passing, but I think there's a low likelihood. What's going on, John? Do you support Trump?
Dean, love from the Isle of Man. Please shout it out. I know I'm a fetus.
Yeah, I got to kick you for being a fetus. We're going to go to move on to the next guest, guys. Please only hop in that queue if you're at least 18 and support Donald J. Trump. Then also, if you are curious, guys, yeah, we did get a week ban over on that main account. Dark, thank you for the 20 Canadian dollars. I appreciate you. That's Logan from Canada. Thank you, Logan. As well as Burger with the $20 over on Super Chat saying, eat the rich. And MAGA, why not? Eat them all. I'm very angry, very angry. We're going to eat them all. Moving on to the next guest. Here we go. Also, guys, look at the new guitar I got. Look at the new guitar, everybody. Isn't it beautiful? I think it's beautiful. What's going on, Wizard? Do you support Trump?
No, I don't. I just want to say, man, I fucking love you. Keep doing what you're doing.
I appreciate that, Wizard. I appreciate that. If there is anybody else in the queue that doesn't support Trump, please leave the queue. I would really appreciate it, guys. I would really appreciate that. What's going on, MagaMan47? You support Trump?
Yes, sir.
Oh, you've been up before. You're a troll. Moving on to the next guest, we got Kevin loading up into the box. Here we go, everybody. Wait, we've already talked before. Moving on, guys. Go ahead and drop a MAGA down below in that chat accompanied with your age if you'd like to come up here. Let's have a convo. What's going on, Dirk? Do you support Trump?
Yeah, I'm a massive fan. But you know what else is massive? Multi-birthday.
All right. A bunch of trolls in the queue today. Apologize about the people that just won't follow the rules. Okay, I'm going to go back to banning people that break the rules. I'm going to go back to banning people that break the rules. I hate to be that guy, but that's where we're at. What's going on, Mayor? You MAGA? Mayor? I'm going to give you 5 seconds to speak up. Okay, I could hear Mayor on her device, but she had got stage fright, so we're going to move on to Kelby. Here we go, everybody. We got Kelby loading up into the box. What's up, Kelby? You support Trump?
Yes, sir. What's up, Dean?
Your mic is very muffled, man. Take off any headset, AirPods that you have, turn your Bluetooth off, and try to speak into the bottom of your phone.
Is that better?
Not really. You have something blocking
Can
the
you
microphone.
hear me better?
You do have something blocking the microphone on the bottom of your phone. Yeah, we could hear that something's in the way.
Give me a shot, brother.
What's in
Give me a shot.
What's in the way? Something's in the way of your microphone. I could hear
I
something.
must just have a fucked up phone. I don't know.
Okay, we'll give you a shot. Why do you support Trump?
Because I'm a racist.
I'm really happy that you have a fucked up phone. I really hope that you have a fucked up life too.
Well, thank you.
You know my favorite thing about racists and white supremacists?
What is it, Dean?
It's knowing that you'll never get what you want and you'll forever live an unhappy life. Now get the fuck out of
I
here.
have everything.
We're going to move on to the next guest. Let's go ahead and see what that next guest has to say. We got Andy loading up into the box. Here we go, everybody. Andy is loading in. Andy is loading in. Phenomenal. What's going on, Andy? Do you support Trump?
Yeah, man, totally.
How old are you?
I'm 18 years old.
What year were you born in?
2006.
2006, what month?
December.
Great. So take it away. Why do you support the man, the myth, the failure, IP Donald?
So I actually support him mostly because of his abortion policies.
Okay, well, I mean, we just had a debate about abortion for, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes. Didn't really go
Don't worry,
anywhere.
I'll keep it short for you,
It's
dude.
really hard to debate like 18-year-old men on abortion.
I'm sure. I actually agree with a lot of your points, Dean, and I'm actually a huge fan.
Okay. Okay, well, why do you support pro-life legislation?
So, specifically, I do not agree that a woman who, how do I put this? If a woman can give birth and...
Did he just get raptured?
Sorry?
Okay, continue to speak. If a woman can give birth...
If a woman can give birth and will be safe, but decides to have an abortion, do you see that as like wrong at all?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely. No. Think about a grape victim.
Oh, no, absolutely. Great. That's off the table. I'm talking about someone who is
elective.
They're
called elective abortions.
Okay.
So why do you think elective abortions should be banned?
Can I ask you why you see that as wrong?
Why I see a ban is wrong?
As like allowed. Do you see that as allowed?
Yeah, for sure. Because I can't identify any reason why it shouldn't be allowed.
Okay. Well, but do you understand? Like, let's say I was a woman, and I decided to have sex, and I got pregnant, and then I decided to have an abortion. I am just kind of deflecting something that I decided to do. You know what I mean?
Okay. So the first reason why you think that those abortions are wrong is because the woman isn't taking responsibility. Do you have any other reasons?
No, that's literally it. I just do not like the responsibility part.
Are you sure? Are you sure you don't have any other ones?
I'm also like if we're talking about financial reasons and things like that, that is like completely off the table. I'm talking about a woman who can give birth, is able to take care of that child, and decides to have an abortion. I view that as wrong.
Okay, why?
Why would that not be wrong?
So you're saying you could assume something to be wrong unless I could give you a reason why not?
Please give it to me. I would love to hear your reasoning.
So so you're basically saying that you think it's wrong without reason?
No, I'm saying it's wrong because there is no reason. You know what I mean?
There's also no reason for racism. So are you saying that if somebody are you saying that if somebody is racist and they think it's wrong to be black, they could believe that it's wrong to be black because there's no reason to believe that it's wrong to be black?
That's not true because being race has nothing to do with morality. So if I'm white, that has nothing to do with morality. Being black has nothing to do with morality.
Okay.
So
I'm just once again I'm just trying to locate any argument here.
Sorry, I'm just again, if a woman were to have sex and get pregnant and she's able to take care of that child,
she's able to take care of the child and she gets an
and
abortion.
decides to have an abortion.
Okay.
I view that as wrong.
I know, and I'm asking why.
Because you're killing a child that can have life.
Okay.
And there's no reason to not kill that child. Kill that child.
So you said that it's okay for a woman to get an abortion if there's particular financial constraints. So I don't think that you value the life of the child all too much because you value money more than the life of the child. So let's not act like you're fighting for children.
If the woman who can't take care
are
of
we
the child.
going to let each other finish, or are we going to interrupt
Sorry, that's
one
my bad,
another,
Dean.
just like the last guys? So if I were to hold up two pictures, one of a fetus with rich parents and one of a fetus with poor parents, would you be able to tell me any difference?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. But yet you think it's okay to kill the fetus in one circumstance, not the other. What this tells me is that you don't actually value the life of the fetus. You just want to condemn and control women that you think are irresponsible because you can't identify any reason why they'd want an abortion. And the crux of your position is just controlling women because they're doing things that you don't like. And we've seen this for all of mankind. This is just another example.
Can I stop you right there, Dean? Sorry, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. First off, no, it is. I'm not trying to control women. That is completely not true. To respond to your point on that specifically, I don't know. If my parents were to tell me that they were to abort me, that would physically hurt me. Would that hurt you, Dean, if your parents were to tell you that they would have aborted you and they just decided not to?
Yeah, of course. It would also hurt me that my dad said that he kind of wanted to pull out but didn't. That also hurt me. Does that mean that we should also make pulling out illegal?
No, I'm not saying that, Dean.
So then why does this mean that we should make abortion illegal?
Okay, to respond to make abortion illegal?
Yeah.
I do not think it should be illegal at all.
Okay, then you're not
be
pro-life.
Between a woman and a doctor.
If it should be between, oh my God. If it should be between a woman and her doctor, then you don't agree with Donald Trump's pro-life policy because his pro-life policy takes the decision away from a woman and her doctor.
His policy
and places
is
it into the hands
and I view your policy is extreme.
Why are you interrupting me?
Because that's my fault again, Dean. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Like, is there any reason for the interruption at all?
I was responding to your point. I just got.
How do you even know what my point was? I didn't finish it.
That's my fault.
Okay, thanks.
Continue.
So I'll go ahead and restart now. So you just said that abortion should be between a woman and her doctor. So therefore, you don't support Donald Trump's pro-life policy because his pro-life policy took that decision out of the hands of the women and their doctors and put it into the hands of their state legislators to determine if they should be able to have access or not. And then you also, in your interruption there, turned around and said that you think that the policy of the left, Roe v. Wade, was extreme. No, you don't think Roe v. Wade's extreme. You agree with Roe v. Wade because that was a federal protection to ensure that abortion remains where you think it should be, which is in between a woman and her doctor.
To respond to your point, I did not say Roe v. Wade was extreme. I was saying that Trump's view was extreme. I agree with some of his claims.
Okay,
I
so
should
then you
specify that at
disagree
the
with his
start.
policy because it takes abortion out of the hands of the women and their doctors, and you do agree with the policy of the left because it puts a decision into the hands of the women and the doctors. You agree with me?
Not entirely, no.
You just.
But I do agree with
now
that.
you're
Most
now
of
you're
it, not
contradicting
entirely.
yourself.
Not entirely.
You are contradicting yourself. You just
So-
said that you don't
no,
think
so
that
my-
abortion should be illegal and it should be in the hands of the woman and her doctor. You in its entirely agree with me.
In most cases, yeah. Except for
In what cases do you disagree?
Okay, so let's say, all right, if
Are we gonna restart the circle?
if two loving adults had sex and conceived, do you believe that the father should have a choice at all in the say of an abortion?
No.
Can I ask why?
Yeah, for sure. Because giving the man a control or say so over what happens to the fetus growing within the woman's uterus also necessarily gives the man a control or say so over what happens with a woman's body. And I think that the woman's right to determine what happens with her own body trumps any unfairness that would be distributed to the man because he doesn't have a control over what happens to the fetus. Not to mention that that's not something that the woman consented to. When a woman engages in sex with a man, they're consenting to the action of sex, not consenting to the possibility of giving the man a control and or say so over what happens to her body in the next 9 months. And if legally speaking, that was something that women had to consent to when engaging in intercourse with men, no woman would ever engage in intercourse with you.
Totally, Dean. I have a question for you. Let's say you and a woman were to have sex and she got pregnant and she decides to have an abortion. Would you carry it off? She would have an abortion, and would you support that fully?
Yeah, of course I'd support that fully. How about we make your example a little bit like worse? For me, let's make your argument better. A better argument for you to say isn't if my girlfriend got pregnant right now, I'd support an abortion. The better argument would be if I was married to my girlfriend and we were planning to have children and we tried for 3 years and she finally got pregnant. We picked out a name, we started building the baby's room, and we got everything for the child. And then 3 months later, she got an abortion. How do you think I'd feel then?
I would assume you'd feel awful.
I'd feel devastated.
Yeah.
Since when did we allow the devastation or emotions of men to control what women can or can't do with their bodies?
Oh no, I'm not saying that it should be controlling. I'm saying that I should.
Right. So even though
if I were to,
it's very realistic to assume that I'd be very sad if that happened. I don't think that we should let the tears of men to dictate what women can or can't do. Because if we did allow that, if we did say the tears of men should be able to dictate what women could or couldn't do, imagine the dystopian nightmare we'd be living in. All right.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't even just end at women. Imagine how many tears the white supremacist slave owners shed when slavery was abolished in America. All right. We should never use the tears of men to control anybody else's bodies, lives, personhood, dignity, human rights, etc.
Totally. That's a really good point, Dean. Thank you. Just me personally, I feel like if I were to be dating or married to a woman and she got pregnant and she got an abortion, I know I personally would be devastated. Obviously, I'd be there to support her in all of her needs, but that would definitely hurt me. And that is a completely good point, implying that my feelings should not dictate what a woman should do with her body.
Yeah. Is there any other reasons you want to give us here why you support Trump?
That's literally it. Thank you so much, Dean.
Yeah, Andy, just keep that in mind. You know, I'm not telling you that you'd be invalid for being devastated if you planned on having a child with a woman and she got an abortion. Okay, I think that we could agree. That'd be valid. I get it. I would be too, right? But we just can't use that devastation or the emotions of men to control what women can or can't do with their bodies. But yeah. Let's go ahead and move on to our next guest. Everybody, if you are in that queue, make sure that means that you support Donald J. Trump. We are just looking for some debates, everybody. We got Stephanie loading up. But please, once again, only make sure that you're in that queue if you support Trump. Make sure that you're only in that queue if you support Trump. All right, moving on. Here we go, everybody. We got Stephanie loading up. It doesn't look like Stephanie's loading in, so we're going to move on to Shane D. While Shane's loading up, real quick, Abram, thank you for the $7 over on PayPal saying, hey, big fan. I appreciate you for the love, Abram. As well as Linnea, that is Linnea, with his $7 over on PayPal as well. Thank you, Linnea. You are awesome. What is going on? Do you support Trump?
Yes, I do.
All right, Shane, I'm going to have you hold off here for one moment, Buck, while I thank Ladia for the $50 donation over on YouTube Super Chat. That is ILAYDA. Let's get 500 Eladia W's down below in those live chats saying, standing on business. I love you. That is so incredibly kind of you. Thank you so much for all the love. I'll also put this out there. If you're watching the stream right now and you're like, hey, I like this Dean guy. I want to support him so he can continue to do this for 4 hours a day. You can find my Venmo, my PayPal, and the link tree in my bio. I get 100% of the proceeds over on those platforms. I also only get around 30% on TikTok gifts and YouTube Super Chat, so I'd highly recommend using those other platforms. But Shane, Mr. Shane, take it away. Tell us why you support the man, the myth, the failure, the worst president of your life, Donald J. Trump.
Well, first of all, I really want to say that I like what you guys do here. I like watching you guys. And honestly, man, I sit here and I watch you guys quite often, and you guys, I give it to you guys, man. You guys really put it on, and you guys shove it up everybody's ass. It's pretty good. So I didn't really want to come on and debate, but I want to just come on and say that I love watching you guys. You guys are awesome. You guys had a guest on yesterday, Andrea, and she was on with Parker, and she put on a clinic on all the stuff about this truck driving and all the DOT stuff.
Yeah, no.
And so that was really good. But yeah, man, you guys put it on every day. It's good for you, man.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, Shane. I'm going to go and kick you since we are just looking for debates, but that is very kind of you. Hello, Freedom Fighter. Are you MAGA?
I used to be, but...
Goodbye. Moving on to Katie, everybody. The rules are simple. Rules are simple. At least 18 from Americans support Trump. You violate the rules, you get kicked. That's just simply how it goes, everybody. That's just simply how it goes. Megan, thank you for the $50 over on Venmo, Megan. That is so incredibly kind of you. Wow, Megan. Megan says, thanks, Dean. And that's all Megan says. Thank you for the $50. Dude, everybody, show some love to Megan down below in that comment section. That is Megan. Thank you so much, Megan. You are awesome. Thank you so much. Floyd, what's up, man? Do you support Trump?
My name Borat. I like you. I like...
Get out of here, child. Ultra! Thank you for the $10 over on YouTube Super Chat. Thank you so much. They say you and Parker are almost a decade younger than me and teach something new to me every single day. I appreciate you for that, Ultra. That is awesome. That is awesome. I'm happy that you take a benefit from these streams. Moving on to the next guest, we got JD7 loading up. And how about this? If you happen to be one of the 7.1 thousand people watching over on TikTok right now, let me know in that chat by dropping a MAGA accompanied by your age and we'll pull you up. What's going on, JD? You support Trump?
Hello, mate. You're right.
You said mate. Are you an American?
I've got an American passport.
I don't believe you. Plus, your mic is terrible. Sorry, bro. We're going to move on to the next guest. Here we go, everybody. We got that next guest loading up into the box as we speak. Hello, Blake. Do you support Trump?
Yeah.
How old are you?
18.
Where are you born in?
2007.
What month?
March.
March of 2007. That'd make you 18. Blake, why the fuck do you support fascists in the Oval Office?
Well, I have to say because I don't think there's anyone else that would take Trump's spot.
You don't think that there literally was? Her name was Kamala Harris.
Like, you know, like, I'm very sexist, so I think men are, like, more leadership skills.
Okay.
Like, I'm not.
Okay. Why do you think men are better at leading?
It's just genetics. I think it's like...
Genetics. What is the genetic difference between men and women that make men better at leading?
Their chromosomes, you know, that's a big difference.
What about their chromosomes?
What?
What about their chromosomes?
Chromosomes, like,
This guy's...
X, Y.
Okay.
What?
He's trolling. Katie, feel free to unmute that mic. But hey, no, if you are watching and you do think that men are better at leading than women, please feel free to hop in that queue. I'd love to talk to you. Katie, hello. You're spamming MAGA21 down below in that chat. Why do you happen to support the worst president of your life?
I support him mainly because of his immigration policy. So
oh, dear God.
I work on a... Oh, what?
I said, oh, dear God.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah, so... Whoa. So I work on a family-owned farm. Quit looking at me like that. What the fuck?
Dude, give us your argument.
Okay. I support that he is making it so people who've worked on farms for like 20 plus years don't get deported and can have a pathway to citizenship.
He actually already rolled back on that.
Can you give me proof of that?
Yeah, for sure. Go on Google, type in Donald Trump rolls back pause deportations on hospitality workers.
Hold on. And then while I looked it up, the other reason I support him is abortion.
Oh, you're pro-life, just like the last three guests?
I'm pro-life with 2 exceptions.
Okay, what are your 2 exceptions?
Rape and health of the mother, not only life of the mother.
Okay, sweet. So then why are you pro-life in all other circumstances?
Because I think there's no reason to unalive innocent babies if the mother can, have them while they're still healthy.
Okay, so you think it's wrong to kill innocent kids. Why?
Wait, real quick, what was the thing you said to look up?
Yeah, Donald Trump rolls back pause on deportations of immigrants who work in hospitality. So now you think it's wrong to kill innocent kids. Why is that?
Because I don't think it's fair to hurt them.
So if it is hurting them, then they can kill them. That would be the antithesis of your claim. So by hurt, do we just mean harm? And if by harm, do we just mean undesirable experience? Well, like pregnancy is going to be an undesirable experience to any woman that gets an abortion.
Well, I know,
It's
but the
self-implied.
baby's gonna feel its limbs being ripped off.
Oh, so abortion's wrong because it's going to feel it. Okay, well, no, babies can't feel, quote unquote, until 28 weeks, according to the current consensus amongst neurodoctors
Okay, well they
and scientists
know.
in America.
They still.
Oh, so now you're saying that abortion is wrong because the fetus will know. So that's also not true. So you have to have a conscious experience in order to obtain any knowledge, and that conscious experience doesn't even arise until 20 through 24 weeks, meaning that they can't
Hold on.
know before that point, meaning that you're pro-choice in all circumstances before 20 weeks, meaning that you concede your position and you've adopted my position because that's also what I believe in, meaning that you no longer support Trump because that's not what he believes in, and you rather support the Democrats because they uphold Roe v. Wade, in which ensures every single American woman and girl in this country has the legal right to access abortion before that point of viability at 20 through 21 weeks, which you think is a good thing.
Sorry, but I just looked up that thing. It says he lifted the pause.
Right.
So he you said he
He
rolled back and
lifted the pause of deportations of undocumented immigrants who work in the sex. He lifted
no,
the
he.
pause.
I think it means he put a short pause on his policy.
He lifted the pause. That's what you just said. And the pause was on his policy of mass deportation. He paused that as it related to undocumented immigrants in service sex. Lifting that pause means we're going back to the policy of mass deportation.
Okay, well, I didn't know he did that, but
You
still,
just
I
said
mean,
that-
I don't.
You just said that he... Okay, go ahead, continue.
So when do you think it's okay to? When's your cutoff line?
Oh, yeah, base, 3 years old.
Huh?
3 years old.
We're talking.
No, just rolling your leg. I think the cutoff is 20 weeks. 20 weeks.
Okay, you actually kind of scared me for a minute. I'm not gonna lie. So what happens at 20 weeks?
Oh, yeah, for sure. The thymocortical connections occur, which would allow the fetus to deploy some low level of consciousness or a sentient experience. And that is what I find to be sufficiently morally valuable to grant them the right to live. Now, before that point, I don't find any good reason to morally value the fetus. I don't find any good reason to give the fetus a right to life, meaning that I don't
Great,
see any
so-
good reason to infringe upon the woman's access to abortion. And when you do infringe upon the woman's access to abortion, you're infringing upon their human right to life right to bodily autonomy, and an infringement upon anybody's human right to bodily autonomy would be a human rights violation in my eyes. So that means that I think any and all abortion bans, which would restrict a woman's access to elective lethal abortions before 20 weeks, is a human rights violation.
So, a brain dead person, for example, wouldn't be, because your thing is past and present or whatever. What is it?
I mean, just sentience.
Okay, so then is it fine to rip off a brain dead patient's limbs like we would to a fetus?
Yeah, rip them all off. No,
like
I'm
genuinely.
I'm joking. We should probably just disconnect life support and use the least abrasive means necessary to terminate their life.
So then why are we ripping off babies' limbs?
Because at a certain developmental point, that becomes the least abrasive means necessary.
Pretty sure the pill is least, but
I know, but the pill can only be used until 10 to 14 weeks. So elective lethal abortions received
yeah. So after
between
that, if you have to rip
14
the
and
limbs
20
off, you
weeks, the
probably
least
shouldn't.
aggressive means possible would be the ripping of the limbs.
So you really think if you have to rip the baby's limbs off to get it to be unalived, then that's fine.
Yes, I do, Katie. Yeah.
So what if someone came to you if you were in a coma and started ripping off your limbs?
Well, that would be murder because I have a right to life that the fetus doesn't. Yeah, like the equivalent of the question that you just asked me. Are you a meat eater by chance?
Yeah, I told you I work on a cattle farm.
Right. Well, so imagine that you tell me that you don't find anything wrong with killing and draining the blood of a cow and chopping off their head
Well, it's
and
it's not
dissecting
human.
their meat into different
It's not
parts
human.
to eat. And then I turn around and I'm like, oh, so you'd be okay if I killed and dissected you to eat? Like, obviously, that's a false equivalence because you'd say that there's some standard that you have set that grants the right to life to humans, but not to a cow. Just like you're making a false equivalence when you say, oh, so Dean, because you think it's okay to rip the limbs off of babies, therefore I could rip your limbs off too. Like, no, it's a false equivalence. I have the right to life. I'm morally valuable. The fetus does not have the right to life. The fetus is not morally valuable. And yeah, I hope that that response is all encompassing.
So then why can't we do it after, let's say, at 25 weeks? You don't think there should be allowed to then?
Bada boom, bada bang. Here's the deal. I agree with what was offered under Roe v. Wade, which was just simply rescinding the legislative ability on elective lethal abortions after 20 through 25 weeks back down to the state level. First and foremost, I've never read an article of that happening. Second of all...
What if someone wants to get an abortion at, like, 30 weeks?
Well, I was in the middle of giving you my stance on that because 30 weeks would be after 25 weeks, and you interrupted me to just ask the question I was already answering. I have a question. Do you think that Kamala Harris's abortion policy made her pro late-term abortion?
I didn't really know what her abortion policy was.
Oh, that's great. That is truly great.
I
But
just saw what she
anyways,
did
yeah,
on
the
the border.
the implication would be
The
that I
border
would
is
find
amazing.
elective lethal abortions morally wrong after 20 through 25 weeks.
So you said you were going to answer the part that I quote unquote interrupted you on, but you didn't.
You asked me if I think it's wrong after 30 weeks, right?
Yeah?
What did I just say?
You said yeah?
So I did answer your question.
So do you eat meat?
Do I? Yes. What is what? What?
So how is it fine for that but not at 30 weeks?
So why is it
Then I
okay?
guess that's when cows get slaughtered at 3, so I guess your 3-year-old stance is true.
So are you asking me why I think it's okay to kill a cow, but not okay to like kill you or me or a fetus at 30 weeks?
Yeah.
Didn't you say that you kill cows?
Yeah, but I don't kill babies.
And that you don't think it's okay to kill a fetus at any point?
A baby.
So see how we hold the same stance.
No, because you think it's okay to kill babies.
So I think it's okay to kill a fetus before a particular point.
You don't have to say fetus because it's still a baby.
Okay. I'm kind of okay with letting you call it whatever you want to. Like if you want to say it's killing babies, W, okay, and
what? No way.
Oh yeah, do the manufactured rage and freak out. I don't care. Okay, I'm here to debate the logical boundaries of the pro-life position and how they hold consistency compared to the pro-choice position. I don't care what you call it, okay? Like, I know like a bunch of people say, no, you can't call it a baby, it's a fetus. Okay, they're right, okay?
No,
but I don't give a fuck. Call it a baby. Yeah, sure. Let's go kill babies, everybody. Let's go recreationally rip their limbs off, guys. And you still can't point out a single issue in my view.
That you're... Hold on.
You still can't point out a single issue in my view. It's logically consistent.
You yelling,
and
let's
it
go
tells
kill
the
all
least.
the babies and rip their limbs off is kind of catching me off guard, so.
I guess we're not hearing a logical contradiction here. But no, you said that they're all babies, right? Okay, now I'll give some pushback to that claim. So a fetus is a baby. When does it become a baby?
At conception. But I am fine with copper IUDs.
Okay, well, we'll actually talk about the IUD thing because that kills babies under your view.
I know, I'll actually talk about that with
But
you.
I just want to clarify. I just want to clarify. One moment. Just give me a moment, everybody. That'd be great if you could just please give me a moment. Here we go. Everybody be patient while I'm pulling this up. In the meantime, guys, make sure that we're double tapping away on that phone screen. Y'all already know. So I just want to be clear. You think that is a baby?
It's the start of a baby.
Girl, this is bacteria that grows on your teeth. Do you typically mistake the bacteria in your teeth plaque for babies?
Well, you told me it was a baby.
No, I asked you if it was a baby. No, but seriously, answer my question. Like whenever like you brush your teeth and you kill like the bacteria plaque on your teeth, do you ever like mistakenly freak out and you're like, oh, I just accidentally killed trillions of babies? But then you're like, oh wait, no, I thought they're not actually babies, guys, because that's what you just did to that bacteria cell. So do you do that often? Do you typically mistake your teeth plaque for children?
No, see, that's like your debate tactic is to lie to people, get them to
lie. I didn't lie. What did I lie about?
If we're talking about what you think a baby is, and then you pull out a picture of fucking bacteria, like you can admit that's not a good faith. If we're trying to have a good faith debate, you can at least admit that. That's
so it is actually a good faith point that furthers our dialogue because it shows the absurdity in considering a zygote to be a baby. Because now you did literally mistake the bacteria that grows on your teeth plaque as babies.
baby bacteria. I never said it was a baby human.
So you don't think that a fetus? Okay, well, A, baby bacteria that doesn't exist. B, the way
Yeah,
in which
baby
you're using
new.
baby refers to like. Okay, so then why did you freak out when I said it's okay to kill babies? If you like the obvious implication from your perspective was that we weren't specifying humans.
Because bacteria doesn't have limbs. You said it's fine to rip off the limbs.
Actually, there is unicellular bacteria, forms of bacteria that can have limb-like structures formed out of their
Limb-like,
cell
not
organelle.
limbs.
What do you take a limb to be?
An arm or a leg.
Okay, how did you know that that's what I meant when I said limb?
Because that's what a limb is.
Oh, okay, so you're superimposing your definition of what a limb is onto what I said.
I can give you
Okay,
the exact
so the same way
definition.
I could superimpose the assumption that when you call a fetus a baby or when you call a zygote a baby, you're calling them a baby human. So see how I could be disingenuous just like you? See how I could pull the whole, how did you know how I was defining the term just like you did? And
See,
then
the
see how like you
definition
could
of a
turn around
limb
and
is an
superimpose
arm
what
or
the
leg
common
of a
usage of the
person.
term would be, right? Right, in the same way I then turned around and superimposed the common definition of what that term would be when you say baby. So how about this? Do you have any actual argument here, Katie? Because right now you're failing. You're failing terribly, tremendously.
Okay, well, we're not going to agree on abortion. We can talk about the border, because that's one I feel strongly
Did you
about.
even give me a stance on abortion? What's your pro-life stance? Why is abortion wrong?
Because I don't think it's fine to kill innocent babies if the mother can have a healthy pregnancy, unless there's medical complications or rape.
Okay, so is your stance just it's wrong to kill innocent humans that are alive?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's wrong to pull the plug on brain dead patients?
Not if it's in their will, no.
Okay, all right. What if they don't have a will?
Then it should be up to the spouse because that's a legal thing.
Okay, so if it should be up to the spouse to kill an innocent human if it's a brain dead patient, why shouldn't it be up to the mother to kill an innocent human if it's a fetus?
Because it has life ahead of it, a brain dead patient doesn't.
Okay, so then your stance isn't. Well, actually, let's clarify. What do you mean by life ahead of it?
A brain dead patient has no chance of survival and being able to have cognitive function after they are declared brain dead.
Okay, so you don't value innocent human life. You value future cognitive function?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're basically saying that cognitive function equals right to life because a fetus will have this in the future. Its future. We should
Yes.
just extend it the right to life now.
Yeah, if you have it now or in the future.
I have a big issue with that logic.
Why?
Okay. Well, you know the way that you said consciousness equals right to life, because a fetus has consciousness in the future, we should just extend them that right now. Being 18 equals the right to consent to sex, because a fetus will be 18 because a 10-year-old will be 18 in the future. We should just extend the 10-year-old the right to consent to sex now. Okay. Well, obviously that's insane, right?
Because there's
don't
different things. We're
equivocate.
talking about cognitive function, not consent.
But still, yet the logical parameters of the argument that you're setting forth is basically treating the potentiality for a trait that grants the right.
But that's the same thing as you
actually possessing the trait that grants
That's the
the
same
right.
thing as you saying,
and the
I think
logical
it's okay to eat
absurdity
a cow.
without it being.
That's the same thing as you saying, I think it's okay to eat a cow, so I think it's okay to eat a dog. You're taking two things that don't correlate to each other.
So the correlation is in the logical underpinning of the position. The
No,
logical
cognitive function.
The logical underpinning of your position is that if a trait grants a right, if you have the ability to have that trait in your future, you should be granted the right now.
Yeah, also, I don't think...
But if that's not your position and it's just about cognitive function, well, then how come you special plea in the case of cognitive function, but not in any other circumstance? It sounds like
Okay,
you're just
wait, no,
illogically
because your other
special pleading.
circumstance I disagree with, because I do think
And that's
you
a
should
logical
be charged with
contradiction.
rape if you have sex as a teen.
Well, that's a logical contradiction because we're
No.
upholding the same we're upholding the same logical principle. The logical principle is that if a trait grants a right, if you have the ability to have that trait in the future, you should be granted the right now. That's what you said about a fetus as it relates to cognitive function.
I said, or like present.
Okay, does a fetus have cognitive function that
Yes.
gives them the ability? Oh, so you just value any level of any cognitive function?
Yeah, I can actually give you a source for that. They do have cognitive function.
Yeah, no, they have alpha and theta brainwaves that start to develop at 8 weeks.
Yeah, so that's cognitive function.
Cows also have that. So do chickens and pigs.
We're talking about humans.
Oh, okay.
Cow abortion is a whole different topic. I don't know. I don't agree with cows getting abortions either.
Okay, then also, so A, you have a big issue with your stance here because a 3-year-old
You have
pig
an issue with
has
my
more
stance.
cognitive function than a fetus at 8 weeks, as well as you're still suggesting a cutoff, right? You were saying that
Is this a vegan debate live or what? Because
Okay, so you're basically saying that I can't show you any logical issues in your position whatsoever.
No, but if you
because,
can't separate the
because you're
difference between a
Katie and
human
you're
life and a cow
stupid,
life.
and then okay, so you're basically just
you're
saying,
gonna get banned for hate speech again. Like genuinely,
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I hate speech you, Katie?
you called me stupid.
I did.
Okay, whatever. I can give you a source that babies have cognitive function
Okay, so why do you find any cognitive function valuable?
because they know what's happening.
Okay, that's not true.
Yeah, babies do know what's happening at 8 weeks.
No.
I'll give you a source for that.
You can't. A source
Yes,
for
I
that
can.
doesn't exist because what's a prerequisite towards the self-acknowledgement of external knowledge? Consciousness. Okay? So in other words, consciousness would be a prerequisite to quote unquote know what's happening. However, they don't gain the ability to deploy
Yeah, here,
consciousness until
centers,
23,
the
24 weeks.
CDC.gov says it,
Says what?
that they have cognitive function at 8 weeks.
Okay, that's not the part that I disagreed with. The part that I disagreed with was that
And
low-
that they can understand where they are at 8 weeks.
Okay, the CDC doesn't say that.
Yes, look it up.
What do you mean by understand?
Look it up. It says CDC, the title is important milestones, your baby by 2 months.
What do you mean by understand?
Like they know where they are, they know
Okay, so when you say, what do you mean by know?
they can comprehend it.
What do you mean by comprehend?
They know. Like, do you not know what comprehend means? Holy fuck.
Well, I mean, I don't think
No,
you
I'm
do.
I'm giving
Because
you the
when
source,
I
look
when
it
I
up.
hear when I hear words such as know or comprehend, the first thing that comes to mind is a self-acknowledgement of reality. Would you say that that would be fair? Like, if you know
No.
something, that's a self-acknowledgement.
So I am giving you a source from the CDC. It's a .gov. If you're disagreeing with a .gov,
Okay, Katie, I don't know if we'll even be able to have this debate because you just simply can't follow.
here, what I'll read you it. What most babies do by this age: social and emotional. Hold on.
That's after birth, you silly goose.
I just hold on.
That is
I grabbed
after
the wrong
birth,
source.
you silly fucking goose. That is after birth. That is oh my god, Katie. You just said by what age? Okay. Yeah. So age starts when you're born in the colloquial sense in the way in which we use the term. Okay? I say that I'm age 20 because 20 years ago I was born. I don't say
There
that I'm
is
age
no
20
evidence
because
proving
20
that
years
babies
ago
don't
I
know
was
or
conceived.
aren't consciously aware. Hold on. At 8 weeks, a fetus's brain and nervous system are developing rapidly. There is no evidence that can 100% prove that they are not consciously aware of what's happening around them.
Okay, just like there's no evidence that can 100% prove that you're not just a brain in a vat, and there's no evidence that can 100% prove that
Yeah, you
unicellular
can
organisms are also conscious. So what you're talking about is going to be philosophical skepticism, okay? So philosophical skepticism is the idea that we cannot possess 100% certainty in any fact of reality outside of a few, right? Apart from I think, therefore I am, that's Descartes. But anyways, so a very easy response to philosophical skepticism, because we can't possess 100% certainty of nearly any given fact, would basically be the idea that it's significantly more likely than not, right? So when I make the claim that consciousness would emerge at around 20 through 24 weeks, that's because it's significantly more likely than not to emerge at that point. And this claim is only further demonstrated via the track record of how neuroscientists have pushed that can further and further and further down the road, the more that we've learned more about the human brain and the way in which it develops and the way in which it functions. So back in the 80s, the common neuroscientific consensus was that the ability to develop and deploy any level of consciousness arose at around 7 to 8 weeks, as you're pointing out. In the 90s, 12 weeks. At later 90s, 15, early 2000s, that's when we started to see the now common consensus of 20 through 25 weeks emerge. So you are right. We don't have 100% certainty in that fact, but because it's significantly more likely than not, it is obviously the only conclusion in which we could yield rationally, okay? Because to hold to a conclusion outside of that would be meaning that you believe that consciousness is less likely than not to occur at this point, yet you still do believe that it occurs at this point, and that is irrational to do.
Okay, so we're not going to agree on abortion. Do you want to talk about the big beautiful bill?
Why do you disagree with what I just said? All I just said is that we
Because
don't have to
I
have
value
100%
fetus life
certainty.
and you don't. That's not something we're
you're
gonna
not
be able to
responding.
agree on.
You're saying that you can't hold my stance because you can't possess 100% certainty that it's true, right?
Yeah.
Ma'am, is it logically possible that I'm AI?
What do you logically? I mean, there's not 100% certainty you're not.
Okay. So does that mean that you cannot hold or claim the knowledge that Dean Withers is a real person?
Well, I couldn't ever say 100%.
Okay. Well, I didn't ask you if you could say 100%. It'd be logically implied that you couldn't. Now, is it still justified for you to claim knowledge of the fact that Dean Withers is a real person?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yes.
So now you're walking yourself into your own skepticism. You're biting the bullet, and now you're saying unless you have 100% certainty of something, you
Are
can't
you saying
know
you're
it.
AI
So then what you'd say here is you don't know if I'm real. Okay, that's absurd. Let me ask you a question. Is it logically possible that your brain in a vat being controlled by a computer, and reality as you experience it is merely just stimulation through electrical currents in this brain in the vat?
No.
It is logically possible.
No, because
How's that
there was a
logically
video of my
impossible?
birth. There was a video of my birth.
Wait, how is it logically possible that the video of your birth is fake?
No.
It's not logically possible that a video is fake?
There's
What do you
three
wait?
there's three angles of it, and I have a birth
Is it
certificate.
logically possible that all three angles of your birth are fake?
No,
How?
because I have a birth certificate.
Is it logically possible that all three videos of your birth and your birth certificate are fake?
No,
How?
because because my mom gave birth to me.
Okay. Is it logically possible that your mom did not give birth to you?
No,
How?
because I came out of her.
Is it logically possible that you didn't come out of her?
No, because
How?
there's a video of it.
So now we're going into the circle. Is it logically possible that the
AI
video
wasn't around at that time.
Is it logically possible that AI was around at
wasn't
that
around.
point? You just didn't know
Not in
about it.
2004, you couldn't make a complete fake video.
Is it logically possible that AI was around at that point? You just didn't know about it.
No,
How?
because it wasn't.
How? How do you know that? How do you know with 100% certain knowledge that it was not around? See, you don't. You don't.
I
You
do.
could only say it's
I know my birth
significantly
is
more
real.
likely
You're
than not.
literally, you're like trying to
You
gaslight
could,
me.
you could
into
only
thinking
say. You could only
you're trying
say.
to gaslight me
you-
into thinking I'm a brain.
You could only say that it's significantly more likely than not that AI required to manipulate videos was not around in 2004. You cannot say that with 100% certainty that it did not exist. So, in other words, the culmination of the
I'm not
line of
AI.
logic that I'm running on you.
I know I'm not AI, so I can say
The-
that I'm
the-
100% not.
You don't actually. You can't claim 100% certain of that fact. Is it
Yeah, 'cause I
logic?
can-
Is
I-
it is,
I
is
can
it logically
move my
possible
toes.
that you're an AI model created by scientists 1,000 years from now to function inside of a virtual reality imposed on the proposition that you don't know you're AI? Is that logically possible?
No, because I can move my toes.
You'd
and
be
my
able to move.
fingers.
You'd be able to move your toes and fingers in this virtual
Not if
reality.
I was a computer.
In this virtual reality that you'd be operating in, yes, you would.
You are like going so off topic.
This is perfectly on topic. The reason why this is perfect.
I am not AI.
The reason why this is
I
perfectly.
can't speak for you, but I can 100% say I'm not.
The reason why this is perfectly on topic is because you don't possess 100%.
Can you move all 9 of your toes?
Okay, Katie, I'm trying to explain to you philosophy 101.
I can move all 9 of my toes, so I know I'm not AI.
Okay, Katie. So the implication here is that if you were AI, you would be able to move your toes within this virtual reality. Okay, and keep in mind, all that I'm saying here is that skepticism, right, saying that you must possess 100% knowledge of any certain thing, right, fails because there's so many things that we accept without possessing 100% knowledge of it, right? Because we don't need to have 100% certainty in something to believe it to be true, right? A good example of this would be the fact that we believe that we are real humans that don't live in a virtual reality. It is logically possible that we only live in a virtual reality. It is logically possible that nobody else alive is real and they're just AI models are a creation of a culmination of your own mind. Meaning,
Why is everyone commenting 9?
Okay, Katie, why are you not listening to me while I'm giving you?
I am.
If you
Well,
were
just said like 400.
Katie, fuck you, leave. I'm not even joking. I'm trying to explain to you the very basics of like philosophy of mind and particularly philosophical skepticism, and you are just not even listening to me. You've interrupted me a billion times to say completely irrelevant shit. Leave. I'm not even joking. Leave. I'm sorry, bro. I'm not doing this shit today. Why am I talking to the most dense guests ever that are just so incredibly disrespectful towards productivity and discovery of truth? And the moment that I'm able to prove you wrong, and I'm honestly really nice about it, and I just demonstrate to you why it is the case that you are incorrect, like all of a
Okay, I
sudden you
concede
just
on your
get off
abortion
of tour, you start talking about random shit, you don't listen to me and you interrupt me. It's honestly like it's so goddamn annoying. Like I'm
I
just trying
concede
to
on your
explain to you
abortion topic.
very simply of the very simple concept of philosophical skepticism and how we don't need to possess 100% certainty of something in order to believe in it.
Okay, I concede on your abortion stance. I'm not enough educated on that. I'm enough educated on the big beautiful bill.
Okay, feel free to move on. Why do you support Trump?
The big beautiful bill.
Okay, why do you like the BBB?
Because look, I'm sorry I interrupted you, but I want to try to have a productive conversation.
I don't believe you. But why do you support the BBB?
Because I think that it's good to have more taxes coming so we can fund other things like the police, the roads, the government, teachers.
So you think that the big beautiful bill is going to raise more money for our government to spend elsewhere?
Well, it's taxing you. Where do you think the taxes go?
Into paying for the bill, right? Because it's estimated to cost between $4 and $5 trillion. Any additional government revenue generated from the bill will just go back into paying for the debt that the bill generated.
But it's also giving tax cuts.
I know, and that's what's generating the debt.
Yeah, so why would I not like that if I'm gonna get a big tax cut?
So you're not going to get a big tax cut. The the CBPP would indicate to us that 80% of Americans will actually see an increase in their taxes and will have an effectively lower after-tax
I'm in the top 20. I'm going to get a tax cut.
Okay, so you're fine with reaping an additional $500 per year at the expense of the bottom 20% of income earners in this
It's not
country.
going to be a
$2,200.
$500 if it's costing trillions.
So yeah, on average for the average member of the top 20%, it is the case that they will only reap an additional $500 per year on the backs of the bottom 80% of income earners losing money. And honestly, I don't believe you. How much money do you make per year?
I make, it depends on the year because it's farming.
Okay, so what about last year?
last year. Are you just talking in total with all like the farming stuff?
I'm asking
The
you how much money you made.
yeah, the payout for me was 600,000.
I don't believe you.
No, it's through potatoes, cattle, everything. It depends, but some years can be 20,000.
I don't believe that you made $600,000 last year. How much?
You can actually look up our company and you
how
can
much?
see.
How much did you pay in taxes last year?
Ooh, it on last year just my personal tax income or taxes on all the farm stuff we sold.
How much did you pay in taxes?
Last year, I'm pretty sure it was in like 130. I can actually look it up.
130? Yeah, you would have paid over $200 to $300,000 in taxes last year if you made 600,000.
No, because it wasn't in one individual pay stump for the year because it's coming from 3 different businesses. I didn't have to pay that much. I can pull up my tax thing and read you the exact number.
No, I just know that you're lying. Okay, I'll explain it. So like the effective tax rate for somebody that nets $600,000 in a year will be close to 40%. Okay, right?
So not all of it's coming out of that tax part too, because part of it is from selling horses, cows. Some of those are private buyers, and we're not getting taxed that 40% as an income because we're just getting money.
If you collected $600,000 in income last year, you would have paid taxes on all 600,000, unless you committed tax fraud.
It's not tax fraud to if it's a private sell. If I sell someone a horse, I don't have to include that in my 600,000. I pay taxes on that.
Yo, hey, bro. If anybody wants, if anybody wants to, go to irs.gov and report Katie over here, feel free because that is tax fraud. Yeah.
No, I paid taxes already on the horses that we sold. They were through different things. I didn't claim them as my income because it wasn't. I claimed it as a private sell. So I paid taxes. So let's say I sold my horse for 40,000. I only got to keep 30,000 of that.
You privately selling a horse, the money that you would then receive will be claimed income. Well, okay, you definitely didn't make $600,000 last year if I'm having to explain to you the very basics of American tax code. Anybody that's going to be in that top 1% will, at the bare minimum, know the basics of the American tax code. If you don't even know how claimed income works, then you have no fucking clue. Like, you definitely did not make $600,000 last year.
Give me 2 minutes to pull up my tax thing because I don't do my own taxes. So
you don't do your own taxes. You don't need to do your own taxes to know how much you pay in taxes and what your claimed income is. Anybody in the top 1%, regardless if they have an accountant or not, will know precisely
it's around
how much
600
claimed
and it's
income
around
that they had last
130 year. That I got taxed.
Okay. All right. Well, Katie, you're lying to us, and the reason that I know that you're lying to us is because anybody that's going to be in the top 1% will know these figures. What is more likely to be the case is that is a person saying that they made what their parents made. So there you go, everybody. That's the truth. That she was saying that she made what her parents made. We're going to move on to the next guest. At this point, if you are in that queue, make sure that means that you support Donald J. Trump. But it did sound like she was admitting to tax fraud there. Let's hope that she just didn't know because she doesn't personally do her taxes. So she's not actually committing tax fraud. Rachel, thank you for the $5 over on Venmo. Matt with a $1. Pierre Day with a $5. Caitlin with a 1 and Rachel with a 1. I really appreciate you guys so much for the love. What's going on? How old are you, man?
Hey, how old am I?
Yeah.
I'm 27. I was born in 1998.
Okay. What year? What month?
February 17th.
Okay. Do you support Trump?
No.
Okay, then don't join the box, man. We are just looking to debate people that did.
No. I have something you have to debate me on.
No, I'm going to go to remove you. We got Sally loading up into the box at this point, everybody. Sarah, I appreciate you so much for the $27 over on PayPal. I really appreciate you so much for the love, Sarah. Let's get 300 Sarah W's down below in that box. I really appreciate you so much. Thank you, Sarah. Guys, show some love to Sarah down below for the $30 donation over on PayPal. What's going on? Do you support Trump, Sally?
Wait, Dean, I'm going to be 18 in the future. Dean, you can't...
Gotta follow the rules or else you're going to get kicked and banned today. Also, once again, if you're watching and you want to support me, you can find my Venmo and my PayPal down below. In the link tree in my bio. I get 100% of the proceeds on those platforms. They go straight to me, everybody. What's going on, Lewis? Are you MAGA? Great. Can you guys point out one person that we've had up so far today that hasn't been absolutely insufferable? Or is it just me? Is it just me? Am I like the only one that just thinks every single person that has joined so far today has just been
Hello?
terrible? Hey, what's going on? Do you support Trump?
Yeah,
Okay, how old are you?
I'm not, 20.
Okay, could you turn off the Coco Melon in the background?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No worries. What year were you born in?
Dean, I love your videos. I'm sorry.
Okay, bro, please stop. Like, why are you guys doing this? I'm telling you guys what my rules are, and then you are just breaking the rules. It's not funny. It's not cute. Griffin, what's up? How old are you?
20.
What year were you born in?
2004.
Great. What month?
December.
Awesome. Dude, hey, Matt, thank you so much for the $50 over on Venmo. Oh my God, Matt didn't leave a message or anything, but Matt, that is seriously so incredibly kind of you. Please show some love to Matt down below in that comment section for the $50 donation over on Venmo. Huge shout out to Matt. Huge shout out to Matt, you guys. That is so incredibly kind. Huge shout out to Matt, everybody. Thank you so much for the love. And Griffin, take it away. Tell us why you support the man, the myth, the failure, President Trump.
So I'm a Christian, and I think that Kamala Harris disrespected our religion, so I'm against her.
So her name is Kamala Harris, and how did she disrespect your religion?
Well, she blatantly said that it was wrong.
Okay, so
And
there's a quote from
she
Kamala
did-
Harris saying that Christianity is wrong. I'll give you $1,000 if you could give me that quote. In fact, would you be willing to bet $1,000 on that quote?
No, I'm good.
Okay, so then just admit that she didn't like belligerently and blatantly say that Christianity is wrong.
Okay, so what are your pros that Kamala Harris is better than Trump?
No, we're not going to move on from your argument. You said that you support Trump because Kamala Harris disrespected Christianity, and I'm asking for you to specify how.
I can't think of it at the top of my head.
Oh, okay. So then why do you support Trump?
Because I think that he is a better alternative than Kamala Harris.
Okay, why?
Because overly he supports the economy better.
No, okay.
He-
How?
Because
And goodbye, Griffin. He lasted about 30 seconds. And he's already gone. He lasted longer. Oh, I'm not going to make that joke. I guess he wasn't being disrespectful. I'm not going to make that joke. That'd be mean. Let's go to move on to the next guest. Everybody, give us a minute to get that next guest up in the box. Yo, that magic man. I appreciate you so much for the $10 over on over on
what's
YouTube
up?
Super Chat. I'm happy that I finished reading out that message. What's going on, man? Do you support Trump?
Yeah, I do.
Great, man. Real quick. Yo, Jared, thank you so much for the $35 donation over on Venmo. Jared says, destroy these maggots. They're so stupid. Trump lost 2.4 million jobs in his first term. That he did, Jared. I appreciate you for the $35 donation over on Venmo, guys. Show some love to Jared down below in that chat. That is incredibly kind of you. Thank you so much for the love, Jared. Take it away. Tell us why you support the man, the myth, the failure, Trump.
All right, so I'd like to discuss abortion. I'm anti-abortion, and that's the
Sorry, man.
main
No,
reason
I'm
why.
sorry. I've done abortion debates for the last 2.5
No,
hours.
I got a unique take for you. I'm gonna give you a good argument. Come on,
I'm sorry, man.
You don't want it. You don't want it.
Yes, you're right. I don't want it. I've been
Everyone I've
discussing
listened
abortion.
to gave you an idiotic argument. I got a good one for you.
I bet that's what they would have said too. Sorry, bro. I'm not gonna be willing to talk about abortion. I want to take a break from that. We've been debating abortion for over 2 hours.
All right, then I'm gonna hop off then. I guess if you refuse to debate.
That's fair, man. I get it. We're going to move on to the next guest. Everyone, just give us a minute to get Tank Watson 70 up in the live. Here we go, everybody. Let's go and get that next guest up in the box while we get them loaded in, guys. Make sure that we're double tapping away on that phone screen and churn out this live with a handful of friends. What is going on, Tank? Do you support Trump?
How do we know you're not an anxiety pin in that box?
Dude, you're what? You're talking through microwave. Do you support Trump?
How do we know you're not an anxiety pin?
Was he saying, how do we know I'm not an anxiety pin? What? Moving on. Okay, here we go. Next guest is loading up. What's going on? John, do you support Trump?
Kind of.
Okay, what does that mean?
I don't support. Well, I like the fact that it's accelerating. The fact that we will have a more cooperative system.
A more cooperative system?
No, cooperative.
A more corporate system?
Yeah. The ideology
Okay.
came from Italy.
So emboldening corporations in America?
No, no corporations in the sense of capitalists or corporations, but collaborations between classes.
I'm sorry. Could you repeat that one more time for me, man? Okay. You did not want to repeat that one more time for me. We're going to move on to the next guest here. Everybody give us a minute to get that next guest up in the box. Jesus Christ. What is going on today? Why do the people suck so much? Oh my God. Yo, Jared, thank you so much for the $15 over on Venmo. I want to see 150 Jared W's down below in that box. I really appreciate you so much for the love. What's going on, Linus? Do you support Trump? Linus, are you here? Linus is not here, so we are going to go ahead and remove Linus. What's going on, I Debate Noobs? Do you support Trump?
I do support Trump. How are you doing?
Okay, could you disconnect any Bluetooth device you have connected to your phone?
Yes, sorry about that.
While they're doing that, everybody, make sure that we're double tapping on that phone screen. Let's try to get up to 1.5 million likes.
All right, can you hear me now, Dean?
Yeah, much better, man. Could you turn down like any other device that you have my stream going on? I thought I heard an echo.
Is it good now?
It is good now. How old are you?
Okay. Yeah, I'm 22.
Okay. If you only debate noobs, why are you debating me?
I'm gonna be honest, bro. I think you're a smart dude, but I don't know why you follow the party that has consistently lied in the past. You look at like the whole thing with Hillary, even the news, dude. All the news you read is bullshit.
Okay.
Like you support a party where they advocate for illegals. There's no national security. What are your thoughts on the current security that we have now? Let's talk about that.
Okay.
National
well, I want to know why you support Trump.
Because I think he's got his shit straight, dude. Like, he doesn't mess around.
So if he doesn't mess around, then he wasn't messing around when he said Biden was executed in 2020 and replaced with a robotic clone, which literally means he's a delusional, insane old man.
Okay. Yeah, so
why do you support a delusional, insane old man that literally believes that the ex-president was executed in 2020 and replaced with a robotic clone?
You're thinking too emotional right now. That's the thing. He's not.
That's
being
logical.
serious, bro.
Oh wait, I thought.
It's not
He
logical.
wasn't being serious. So he was messing around.
Yes.
I thought you just said that he doesn't mess around.
Okay. He doesn't mess around in terms of what he's getting shit done. What did Biden get done, bro?
Yeah, more than
He get
Trump.
shit done. Okay.
Let's play a game. Let's play a game. Let's play a game. I'll name something that Biden and Harris got done, and I'll be incredibly specific. And then you'll name something that Trump got done, and we'll see who runs out first. Are you ready?
Okay.
Okay, I'll go first. Chips and Science Act. Your turn.
So Trump has got rid of 3 of the top 10 fugitives that were on the most wanted lists.
Okay. How did he do that?
By reforming the FBI. He put fucking Kash Patel in. Kash Patel did more than Christopher Wray ever did. That corrupt administration. You know it too.
Okay, so your claim is that he appointed Kash Patel?
I don't think he directly appointed Kash Patel.
What? Yeah, he did.
I mean, okay, maybe he did, but yeah.
Yeah.
He's reforming.
So then your counterclaim was his appointment as of the leader of the FBI. Okay, wouldn't I just be able to name Biden's appointment of the FBI? Maybe we should talk about like what they got done insofar as a policy that they've passed compared to who they've appointed into their cabinet, because the Trump administration has appointed an identical amount of individuals to their cabinet as the Biden-Harris administration did. So let's stick to policy. I was able to name you a policy that the Biden-Harris administration was able to get influence to get passed, that got shit done in this country. What about you?
You always go back to the policy, Dean, but
right, I do.
Let's talk about, seriously, under the 4 years of Biden, like, let's be so serious. What did he do to protect our national security?
Okay,
what
so
did he do?
You're changing the question because you can't answer it. So remember
That's
when
the
I asked
biggest
you.
problem, dude.
Remember when
That's
I
the
asked you if
biggest
you wanted to
problem.
play a game to see who got more done. You said yes. I started by naming one thing.
It doesn't
one policy
matter.
That the Biden.
It doesn't matter
Oh,
if
okay.
there's
Well,
no
then if getting shit done doesn't matter, how come you said that you support Trump because Biden and Harris never got anything done if it doesn't matter?
Say that again?
Yeah, if getting shit done doesn't matter, well then how come your seemingly insane take that the Biden-Harris administration didn't get anything done, how come that matters?
What do you mean? Why does it matter?
I mean what I said. You just said that getting shit done doesn't matter. Policy doesn't matter. Doing good stuff for America doesn't matter. So then why would like the lack of the apparent shit that they got done, why would that matter?
Well, dude, you're a great manipulator. All you do is go back to the points that you know best, but you cannot, for the love of fucking God, answer anything about security of this damn country, which is the most important thing. Look at all the Chinese.
Well, then just say that you think that Donald Trump is better for the security of the country. Literally, just say that you think that Donald Trump is better for the security of the country. If you want to talk about the security of the country, all you have to say is that you support Trump because of the security of the country, and then we'll debate it. But that's not what you said. You said that you support Donald Trump because Biden and Harris didn't get shit done. You said that you support Donald Trump because he doesn't mess around. So obviously, I'm going to grill and fucking flame you as it relates to how Donald Trump is not a serious man and how the Biden-Harris administration did get shit done, because you very specifically said that those were the reasons why you supported Trump. Do not say that I don't want to talk about the security of the country when I'm simply refuting and responding to the points that you made that were false. If you want to talk about national security, all you have to say is that that's one of the reasons why you support Trump.
That's the main. Yeah, that's exactly why I support Trump. And look at all the people he's fucking deported, dude. All these people with these sexual crimes, these acts on minors. And Biden
under what? Under what bill? The Laken Riley Act?
Dude, I don't give a fuck about the act. The point is,
he doesn't even know. So we should, if there's an immigrant in America that, I don't know, held civilly liable for rape, we need to get him out, right?
Yeah, let's get Trump out of here. I agree with you.
Right. You knew exactly where that claim was going to lead. You knew. So if an immigrant that is a rapist roaming the streets of America is a threat to national security. Okay, and by the way, I'd agree that any rapist on an American street roaming free is a threat to national security. Well, that definitely means that a rapist running the country from the Oval Office is a threat to national security too. Yeah, you put them there and claim that he was good for national security. Isn't that quite hypocritical, sir?
So he's the only one doing shit about Iran. Kamala wouldn't be doing shit if she was in office.
Her name is pronounced Kamala. Nice pivot. It's funny because now you don't want to talk about your argument related to national security that you made, even though you just accused me not even 2 minutes ago of me being the one that's running away. But then the moment I ask you for your very direct and specific argument relating to why he's good for national security, you then automatically pivot to Iran when I refute it. So let's go 1 point at a time. We could talk about Iran next, but right now we're not done talking about national security. You said that he's good for national security by getting rapists out, yet he himself is a rapist that you've put in the Oval Office to run the country. That's hypocritical. Respond to the hypocrisy.
Okay, so where do you want to go from here, Dean? What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, I want you to respond to the hypocrisy.
Of
the fact that you said that Donald Trump is good for national security because he's getting rapists off the streets of America, yet he himself is a rapist running America from the Oval Office. That's hypocritical. Respond to that hypocrisy.
Yeah, so I think if the people he so-called raped, I think if that was even somewhat true, they wouldn't come out and say it during election time.
Okay, why?
And you can, dude, look at all the people that have lied on Trump's name.
Wait. Why?
What do you mean why?
Why?
Because it's election time. Okay. He came out years later, dude.
Why does that mean that it's false?
I'm not saying it's false, but it means it's more likely to not be true.
Okay, why?
There's a greater chance of it not being true.
Okay, why is that?
Because she didn't report it at the time, and she did it at the time when he was running for president to defame his name.
Okay.
Does that not make sense?
So why is not reporting it when it occurs makes the claim false? Why is that the case?
It doesn't. It's not even that. It's the fact that she reported it while he was running for president.
Okay. And why is reporting it while he was running for president make it false?
I'm not saying it makes it false, but I'm saying it's used to defame his name.
Okay. So why is the fact? Well, if you're calling it defamation, then you're saying the allegation is false.
I am saying there's a good chance it is false. Yes.
And why does her bringing that up in 2019 make that true?
Make the fact that it's
defamation.
Because it was around election time. It's just
okay. So I just want to clarify that your argument that because she brought it up in 2019, therefore it's false. The reason why that argument is true was because it was in 2019. So you have a circular argument.
So my question is, why do you always circle back to the fact that he's a rapist, he's a misogynist, he's a transphobe, he's this, that?
Yeah, well, for sure, because it is directly related to your claim that he's good for national security due to the fact that he's getting rapists off the streets of America, and it's quite useful in demonstrating your hypocrisy.
So you think the Biden administration opening the borders like a motherfucker, that's a lot more effective, right?
So
Let's just open it up.
You're pivoting, but I'll allow the pivot.
Give
How
all
do they
the
open
people
the
in
border?
California Medicaid. Let's give them benefits, this and that, because that's going to help, right?
So how do they open the
That's going
border?
to save our economy. It's going to fucking save our economy, Dean.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm first going to ask you how the Biden-Harris administration opened the borders.
They didn't. They did.
You cut out. Repeat that.
I said they didn't do anything.
Okay. Well, if they didn't do anything, then they
attack
didn't
the
open the
problem.
borders, because opening the borders is doing something.
They lighten the security on the borders.
Okay. What security did they lighten?
They just they didn't attack it like Trump's
They
administration
didn't
is.
attack it like Trump's administration is. Well, that's different than the claim that they lighten the security. So how do they lighten the security?
Dude, everyone knows they did. Like, it's not a fact. More people entered the country.
If everybody knows this, then
I
you'll
don't
be
have the
able to
exact
tell me
number
why.
on me.
So your argument is that they passed pro-open border policy because there's more immigration in?
No, I never said there's any policies. I'm saying more people crossed under his administration than under Trump's.
Okay, so therefore the Biden-Harris administration opened the borders. Is that your argument? I just want to be clear.
No, that's not I'm not saying
Okay,
anything about
so then what is your argument for the claim that you made that they opened the borders? Because you did make that claim.
I am saying metaphorically, the borders were open compared to Trump's administration.
Okay, so they didn't. I just want to be clear. You don't think the Biden-Harris administration opened the borders?
No.
Okay. So then what's the issue?
More people came through under Biden's administration than under Trump's administration.
Okay, and how did the Biden-Harris administration cause this?
Say that again?
And how did the Biden-Harris administration cause this?
Because they didn't attack the problem like Trump's administration is.
Oh, okay. So I just want to be clear. You're saying that they didn't attack it hard enough, and that's what caused the mass immigration into America.
Yes.
So do you think that Donald Trump's policy in his first term attacked it hard enough?
I think he did a better job than
You're not
Harris.
answering my question. Did it attack it hard enough?
I don't have the exact number of how many people crossed over.
Okay, so you're agnostic on if Donald Trump attacked it hard enough in his first administration?
His attempt in forming a wall was a lot more than anyone under Biden's administration ever.
Okay, the attempt at making a wall. Okay, well, Biden and Harris attempted to build more wall than Trump ever did through the bipartisan border bill that included more funding to build more wall than every mile built under Trump's first term. So even in accordance with your own standard here, it is the case that the Biden-Harris administration was harder on immigration than Trump.
Oh, you're out of your mind.
No, you're out of your mind because that was the standard that
hold
you
on.
set that I showed you that the Biden-Harris administration fulfilled to a higher extent than Trump in his first term. It's fucking hilarious to me when I have guests call their own line of logic out of my mind.
Hold on. How many people came through the border last month through the southern border?
No, you're going to answer my question. I'm not going to answer yours. I've been letting you pivot. I've been letting you deflect. I've been letting you change the conversation. Every single time you've opened your mouth, you've changed it to something new. You've only been on this live for around 10 to 15 minutes. Here's a quick recap of every single thing that you've brought up. You've brought up that they didn't get much done during their first administration related to Biden and Harris. You brought up that you think that Donald Trump is better for national security because he's getting rapists off of American streets. You brought up the fact that you like how he's attacking Iran. You brought up the fact that under the Biden-Harris administration, they had an open border. You brought up the fact that they lack security. You brought up the fact that they didn't attack it hard enough. You brought up the fact that it is not true that they try to build more of the border wall. You brought up about 1 billion things in the last 10 to 15 minutes. And every single time you brought up something new, I've let you pivot. I've let you deflect. I've been letting you control the conversation. I've given you the reins and I've let you talk about whatever the fuck you want. Okay. But every single time I come up with a new counterpoint, you just come up with an entirely new point. So without the 1 billion points in less than 5 minutes, let's choose one point that you want very clear intellectual discovery upon. So what is one thing that you want to talk about related to why you support Trump? And keep in mind, I'm going to force you to talk about this one thing for more than 5 minutes. So you better choose one thing that you think you could defend.
So I don't think you've answered I've given you multiple points, but you keep pivoting to the fact that
I keep pivoting. What?
Trump's a rapist, right?
Whoa! For the last three, For the last 5 minutes since I brought up the fact that he's a rapist in response to you saying that he was better for national security because he was getting rapists out of America, 5 minutes ago, you pivoted away from that to talking about how the border was managed under the Biden-Harris administration. The moment you pivoted to how the border was managed under the Biden-Harris administration, I let you pivot, I gave you the reins, and I did not mention the fact that he was a rapist again, and I engaged with your pivot. I engage with the pivot. So stop talking out of your ass. I'm going to re-ask you the question. I'm going to force you to talk about one thing for more than 5 minutes so we could discover truth and have a nuanced conversation about why you support Trump. What is one reason why you support Trump that you think you could handle a conversation without any deflections or any pivots for more than 5 minutes over?
So I got to go, Dean, but I'm going to leave it.
That's right, buddy. You better hit the road packing because now I've made it impossible for you to wiggle and worm your way out of just trying to overwhelm me with a billion talking points in less than 5 minutes. Well, A, the strategy didn't work because I could handle it. And B, thank you so much for allowing me to prove to over 10,000 people watching us live concurrently on TikTok and YouTube combined that MAGA is a fallacious, anti-intellectual, void of nuance, fucking monolith of embarrassing, stupid, grown men and women. And it's just absolutely incredible.
Okay, Dean, I challenge you to critically think. I know that may be a new skill to you. You're an emotional thinker. All the people watching this are pretty emotional too. So is the rest of your party. So I'm going to leave it to you on that. Do some critical thinking, do some research, and stop thinking with the wrong part of your brain.
Okay.
All right, Dean, have a great
One
day.
last question for you, because I want to learn how to critically think. What are the 3 classical laws of logic that I could use to critically think? You as a critical thinker that does not engage in emotional-based thinking should know the answer to said question.
You have a great day, Dean.
Buddy, I think you told me that I need to critically think. Help me out here. What are the 3 classical laws of logic? You left. Yo, fucking cope. We got a coper on the live, everybody. Yo, let's get some cope spammed in that chat for whatever the fuck that was. Moving on to the next guest. Here we go, y'all. We're gonna go to get that next guest loaded into the live. Jared, thank you so much for the $30 over on Venmo. I really appreciate you for the love, Jared. Let's get 300 Jared W's down below in the comment section, literally right now, for the $30 donation over on Venmo. That is so incredibly kind of you. Shout out to Jared. Huge shout out to Jared. What is going on, Breezy? Do you support Trump? Breezy isn't here, so we're going to move on to Bill. Keep in mind, if you happen to be one of the near 11,000 people tuning in on both YouTube and TikTok right now, and you want to support me, you can find my Venmo and my PayPal either in the link tree in my bio on TikTok or in the pin message over on the YouTube stream. I keep 100% of the proceeds on those platforms. They go straight to me, and you'll get a notification at the top of my phone screen where I could give you a shout out and thank you for the love. What is going on, Bill? Do you support Trump?
I do not. I just wanted to say you converted me into not liking Trump. Just wanted to say that you're an amazing person.
Hey, man, that's awesome. That's awesome, Bill. That is so happy to hear, man. I am going to go to remove you just because we are looking for Trump supporters, but fuck yes, dude. Show some love to Bill down below. What is going on to Kid Rahan? Do you support Trump?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. So what about Trump do you support?
He's a good business person.
Okay. Well, a better business person says that he needs to be impeached because of how bad he is for the economy.
Impeached?
Yeah, Elon Musk called for Trump to be impeached. Yep.
Well, he's not president.
Okay, so then you don't support Donald Trump because he's a good businessman. You support Donald Trump because he's president.
He's not president, is he?
Trump is president.
What? Oh.
Okay, sorry. If you don't know that Trump is president, I'm going to move on. I'm not going to do that to myself. I'm not going to do that to the viewers. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that to everybody. I'm not going to torture everybody that much today. So, I mean, I already torture my viewers enough. Now, that level of torture, unfortunately, is just something I'm going to have to pass on. What's going on? You support Trump, Tank?
Dean, are you an anxiety pin? Answer, please.
I don't even know what the question means. Moving on to the next guest. We got Will loading up in. Hey, if you're watching and you support Trump and you want to come up and have a debate, let me know down below in that chat. We'll get you pulled up here. Please only hop in that queue if you actually do support Trump, though. What is going on, Will and Gabriella? Do you guys support Trump?
Oh, yeah, I do.
I do not. No.
Base. Will, how old are you?
So basically,
How old are you?
I'm 19.
Okay, what year were you born in?
06.
What month?
Sorry,
What month?
July 7th.
Okay. You actually wouldn't be 19 yet. Let me
Well, I
do
mean,
the
like I
math.
turned 19, like
Yeah, you wouldn't
about
be
a
19
month.
yet. Moving on to the next guest, we got Chrissy loading up in here, everybody. Do you just kind of give us a minute to get that next guest loaded in? What's going on? You support Trump, Chrissy?
What? No, I don't know why I'm here, but what does MOG mean?
What's a good way to describe
Like, I'm
Mog?
old enough to be your mom. What does MOG mean?
Chrissy, what's a good way to describe Mog? I don't know if I have one. Chrissy, honestly, I don't know if I have one. I think that you're probably going to go ahead and live another day not knowing what that word means, because I don't know if I have a good definition of the term. I'm sorry. And I'm usually pretty good at
Oh
defining
my god, I'm so sorry. Hi, Dean.
Okay, I'm gonna assume because they said sorry, that means that they don't support Trump. So we're gonna go to move on. It looks like there's not a whole lot of Trump supporters in the queue today. So here's what I'm gonna do. At this point, I am gonna start banning anybody that requests to join that isn't an American adult that supports Trump. We're actually gonna start with Kitty down here. So Kitty, are you MAGA?
Yes.
Okay, how old are you?
24.
24. What year are you born in?
2000.
Okay, all right. That's crazy. Why do I have you blocked on my main account?
I don't know. That's kind of why I wanted to come up here. Why did you block me? I've never been on your live. I've been on Parker's, but I've never been on yours.
Maybe one of my mods did. I don't know. Sometimes my mods can have false bans. Have you ever said like anything crazy in my chat?
No, I think I just said L, but I think I was saying L to a guest actually, because I didn't like what they were saying. So I actually, even though I'm MAGA, I do support both sides because I actually used to be a liberal as well. So it's kind of like hard to say. Like if I'm truly MAGA, I really hate to say it because like I don't want to just side with one party, because I could definitely say both parties have a lot of great points.
So why do you support Trump?
The truth, because I know it's very controversial, immigration. Because I just found out recently too that he's actually trying to let people that have been working here for a while, especially farm workers that are immigrants, he's gonna allow them to stay here
That's
a
not
little
true.
bit longer.
Not true.
Really?
He walked back on that.
He did?
Yeah. He said, "Never mind. We're gonna deport them all." Yeah.
Oh, I have to look that up. But if he did, that's pretty tragic. It's kind of devastating. But I would have to agree, like with the liberals, that it is a really long and hard process to do.
I'm sorry. I don't want to know what you agree with the liberals on. I want to know what you agree with Trump on that makes you support him.
Okay. I'm just trying to make sure that like I don't hate that party. I'm not that type of MAGA where I'm like, the left. No, I'm a both. But I just support him also as well because I don't know. I've had a great grandmother at the time that did do the process, but it took her about 20 years. It did take a long time, and it was offensive to see that it said alien registration on the paper on her thing. And sorry, I'm a little bit nervous. I had an anxiety pan too, so what's it called? It took a long time for her, and I can admit that it is a really hard process, and I would like if Trump would make that process a little bit easier.
I want to know what Trump is doing that makes you support him, because so far you've told me why you agree with the liberals and what you wish Trump was doing that he isn't doing that you like. What is something he is doing that you like?
I do like how he's trying to help the economy a little bit with our taxes. I know that his tax plan's a little bit iffy, but I feel like he's just honestly trying to refresh and just make everything go back to normal, because it was already chaotic as it was with COVID, and then with the Biden administration involved. You know, I'm not blaming on Biden. I'm just saying that it was just wonky at the time. It was really hard.
Okay, so
inflation
in
was
like a
going up.
sentence, in the sentence or less, why do you support Trump?
Immigration. That's the
Okay,
main point.
So what about Trump on immigration do you support?
That he's deporting illegal immigrants.
Okay. So what is one good outcome of mass deportation in America?
Wait, I'm sorry?
What is one way that mass deportation makes America better?
Because I like that we don't have to pay our taxes to them, and they kind of actually don't pay California taxes. I only know that because I'm in a shipyard staffing agency, so I work with a lot of illegal immigrants, and I work with their process to see if they could get access to work here in the military base. So I see people that actually try to do it, and I see people that don't try. So the people that don't try,
Okay, ma'am, I'm sorry. I just you're yapping. I don't know what else to tell you. How long have you been up here?
I don't know. Sorry
A while.
about that.
No, you're good. I want to be able to find something to debate. So you support Donald Trump's mass deportation because you don't think that undocumented immigrants pay taxes. Would you say that's a fair reduction of your view so far?
Yes.
Okay, undocumented immigrants do pay taxes, $100 billion per year.
Okay. Okay, good to know. I'm here to get educated, so thank you for telling me that. Because I don't like how the media portrays different things, so okay, I'll look that up. I also just support that he's gonna put veterans first, and I know you're gonna probably say something that he probably isn't, but I just like his support for troops. I do like that he is making a move to Israel right now as well, with Israel on firing a missile towards Iran. It's kind of like a good move. I'd say it's deserved.
Wait, I'm so sorry. That's so fucking contradictory. Iran's already said that their response would be to start bombing military facilities in the region, which would kill American troops. So you think that Donald Trump is supporting American troops by unnecessarily killing them? By starting another war in the Middle East? How?
Well, Israel did say that they were starting a nuclear weapon, and if
Yeah, they've been saying that since the 90s.
Well, I mean, maybe it is true. They are our rivals at least. So,
Dude,
I mean,
dude. Netanyahu has been saying since 1994 that they're a year away from having nukes, and he's been saying that every year since 1994. Okay. Also, not to mention that we did have a denuclearization agreement with them, where they agreed to not develop any nukes, and we have no evidence that they broke that agreement until Donald Trump pulled us out of it unnecessarily during his first administration.
Okay. How do you feel about Iran threatening us a lot?
Okay. All right. So we've now moved on from why you support Trump to Iran threatening us.
Well, we are on the topic with Iran and Israel. So I was just asking.
I don't think that another country threatening us justifies us starting another war in the Middle East with them. Dude, fucking Kim Jong-un threatens us every day. Would you say that Donald Trump is good for our troops if he were to drop a nuke on North Korea?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, you're just simply incoherent. So I'm going to go to move on because I would start World War III. And we're just going to go ahead and drop them and move on to the next guest now. So everybody just give us a minute while we get the next guest loaded up in here. I don't know why every single person that has been on the stream today has just been outrageous. Everyone. We've been live for a total of 3 hours. Chat, is there a single person in the last 3 hours that we've talked to that hasn't been just completely outrageous? I don't know. What's going on, Scott? Do you support Trump?
Yes.
That would be a child. Goodbye. Got to be at least 18 to join. Everybody that it's like a full moon or some shit today. Yo, Z, thank you so much for the $15 over on PayPal. Saying thank you for what you do. I want to keep supporting you because I love your knowledge and way to debate. Thank you so much for the love, Z. Show some love to Z down below in the chat for the $15, as well as Caroline. Thank you for the 5. And this person just has a terrible connection. Get the fuck out of here. So we're gonna move on to the next guest. Everyone, dude, just kind of give us a minute, y'all. Oh, look at that. Look who's in the queue, everybody. Oh, it's been a while since this person's been in the queue. We got to bring them up real quick. This will probably be a super quick conversation. We'll probably just end up kicking them. Yeah, this person is crazy. This person is just nuts. Absolutely insane. And it actually looks like they left the queue right as I said that. So they're gone, unfortunately. Yo, what is going on? Reject University. You support Trump?
Hey, I'm a big fan.
I appreciate
First
that.
of all,
you support Trump?
But I support Trump. I want to argue facts and logic. You know, I was just here to say, you know, Biden's not my president. Bill Clinton's not my president, and Trump is president.
So do you support Trump?
Well, Trump is president.
Okay.
Well, that's what I thought.
So I want to clarify. Reject. I'm asking you if you support Trump. I'm not asking you who the president is.
What? I thought the debate was not my president, like Biden, not the president.
So do you support Trump?
Oh no.
Okay, that's great. Have a good one. Oh, the crazy person is back. I mean, we need to get a quick update. Hey man,
These people just can't get it together, Dean.
You've been able, says you. You've been able to find my address yet?
No, buddy. I'm looking just to talk to you. That's all.
So you just want to clarify, you haven't been able to find my address yet.
Buddy, I've known where you lived for a long time. Let's move on.
Okay, where do I live?
Let's move on. Let's
No.
talk about the deportation.
No.
Dean. Come on.
What's my address?
Dean, you know I was on a plane one time waiting in your chat.
You're in a plane? I've been on
I
a plane
was.
before too. So what's my address?
Let's just talk about politics.
I'll give you $100 if you could tell me my address.
Send me a DM and I'll respond back with it.
No, leak it on live.
Can you play me a song?
No, I'm actually going to stop playing my guitar just because of that. So how about this? What if I gave you $1,000 if you send my address right now?
Is it going to be the fake cash like in that scam business you used to own? Like that kind of cash?
No, it'll be real cash. So can you tell me what my address is?
Once you tell your friends, how did you ever end up shutting your businesses down?
I'll tell you if you could tell me what my address is.
Remember we were speaking about insolvency?
He still doesn't have it, everybody. He still doesn't have it. That guy's seriously been looking for my address for the last 2 years. And it's all that he does. All day, every day. He looks for information on me. He's been trying to find me to like kill me for like 2 years. No joke. But he's so stupid. He doesn't know how to do it. So it's, he's not a threat. Because he's that stupid. He has no clue. So it's really funny to bring him up once in a while and ask him how it's coming along. You know what I mean? What's going on, Alex? You support Trump?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. How old are you?
I'm 18.
What year were you born in?
2007.
Great. So why do you support Trump?
Because he's the GOAT.
Okay. Why's that?
He came in, he closed our borders.
Okay. So you support him in his immigration policy. Do you support mass deportation?
I don't support the people that have been here for 30 years getting kicked out, but the others, yeah.
Okay, why?
Because they get paid less than Americans.
So you want to deport them where they'll have even worse living conditions? How about we just offer them a pathway to residency or citizenship so then they can get paid the same amount as Americans?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, so yeah, great. You've been on the live
But
for
why
less
do
than
you
30
think
seconds and
America
you've already
shouldn't have
conceded that
borders?
mass deportation is bad.
What'd you say?
You've been on the live for less than 30 seconds and you've already conceded that mass deportation is bad.
Nah.
Yeah, you just
Only
agreed with
some
mass
of it.
amnesty.
Huh?
You just agreed with mass amnesty. You said that, yeah, Dean, I agree with the idea that we should offer undocumented immigrants a pathway to residency or citizenship so they don't get paid lower wages on average.
Yeah, but American citizens are struggling so hard right now that it's not normal.
So you want to make them struggle more by reducing our GDP by 1.1 trillion through $1.7 trillion per year? Because that's what will happen if we do a mass deportation.
Nah, I think America first. We got to care about Americans.
Right. Place America first. Don't do the mass deportation. It cripples this country, cripples this country's economy, weakens the economy, reduces average wages, fucking reduces the average qualities of life, increases crimes. So maybe that's not an American first
You said
policy.
deportation increases crimes?
Yeah, I did.
How does that work?
Yeah, by weakening the economy, increasing poverty. More poverty comes more crime.
Deportation increases poverty?
Yeah.
How does that work?
By removing 8.3 million laborers from our labor force, meaning our manufacturers are less productive and produce less goods to sell to the consumers. Not to mention, you completely excommunicate 12 million consumers from the American consumer base, meaning that there's less individuals to buy those products. So the economy is hit both on the supply and demand side, and this doesn't even account for the cost that this would take to GDP growth, the cost that this would take insofar as what our government is expensing to get the deportation done, and the opportunity cost of losing what they pay in taxes per year. So yeah, that creates a weaker economy. Weaker economy comes higher poverty. More poverty comes more crime. So yeah.
Well, if our government encouraged U.S. born citizens to get those jobs instead of encouraging people that employers can exploit to pay less.
So we've already went over How if we were to offer undocumented immigrants a pathway to residency or citizenship, they'd have just as much bargaining power against their employer as a citizen, meaning that they wouldn't be more likely to get exploited. And then your counterclaim has something to do about encouraging Americans to go to work?
All right, let me say this. So that one guy, he couldn't explain how the Biden administration opened the borders. Like
No,
he
don't
said
pivot. Don't pivot, buddy. Don't pivot.
Okay. You want to go back to the other thing?
Yeah. Explain to me how mass deportation places America first, even though it weakens the economy, reduces GDP growth, costs $2 trillion in 10 years, and increases crime.
Because penny pinching CEOs can pay illegal immigrants less than Americans.
How many times? Okay, A, that doesn't refute anything that I said. And B, I've responded to that 3 times. I'm not going to respond to it a 4th time.
All right, let's talk about how the Biden administration
I'll just go and kick you. Moving on to the next guest. Here we go, everybody. We're going to get that next guest jam up in the box. Here we go, everybody. We're going to get that next guest up in the box. Holy shit. Fucking hell. Dude, what's going on? Do you support Trump, Hat? Okay, Hat isn't here. Man, these guys suck today. Honestly, like, these people are just cringe, man. These people are just so cringe. They're so cringe. They're so stupid. What's up, Jordan? Do you support Trump? Jordan is gone. Jesse, thank you so much for the $10 over on Venmo, saying just hit a 250 max on the bench while listening to me cook these people. Dude! Jesse! Let's fucking go, bro! Hell yeah, man! Dude, show some love to Jesse down below in that comment section for the $10 and the 250 bench max. That is very impressive, bro. Fuck yes, Jesse. What's going on, Hustle? You support Trump?
Yes, I do.
How old are you?
20.
What year are you born in?
2005.
And what time is it?
Time is it 4:16?
Cool. All right, take it away. Why do you support Trump?
Mainly because of the deportations.
Okay, well, you've been in the queue for a while, so that means that you were in the queue while I explained to the last guest every single reason that I think that mass deportation places America first, so I don't places America last, so I don't need to repeat it. Prove it wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe economically it might not be the greatest, but I do think you have to uphold laws in this country. And anyone who crosses this border illegally are committing a crime. So I do believe you have to remove them.
Okay. So I have a question. Does the state have an obligation to enforce and create legislation that makes the quality of the lives of the individuals in the country better?
Yeah.
Okay. And if there's a law in the books that makes the quality of lives of individuals in the country worse, what do we do with that law?
Well, if it made the quality of the residents worse, then you should get rid of it.
Right. So that's why we should get rid of mass deportation.
No, because I think...
So you would argue that mass deportation would make the quality of lives of Americans better. Okay, well then go ahead and refute the fact that I gave you about 5 reasons why it doesn't. By reducing GDP growth, by reducing median wages, by making our manufacturers less productive, by forcing consumers out of the consumer market, meaning that we have a weaker economy on the supply and demand side, which leads to increase in poverty, which leads to more crime. How does this make lives better?
No, but you ought to think it like this. Like if somebody crossed the border illegally today and you caught them while they're doing it, you'd send them back immediately.
Okay.
Just because they got
Stop
away with it
pivoting.
successfully.
Stop pivoting. Stop pivoting. You particularly said that you agree that we should get rid of laws on the books that makes lives worse. And then I said that would mean that we should get rid of mass deportation for all the reasons I gave you, right? And then you said no. So this means that you think I'm wrong insofar as why mass deportation makes lives worse in America. So either refute the reasons that I gave you or tell me how mass deportation increases average qualities of lives in this country.
Well then, I guess I'd have to concede on that point because, as you were saying, yes, it would economically obviously be worse for the USA.
Okay, so then we should get rid of the law. And you would have to agree here since you agreed that we should terminate laws in which reduce qualities of lives in America.
Well, Dean, I think I have lost this debate. Thank you for educating me, though, yeah.
Okay, all right, well, you have a good one, man. That was quick.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next guest here, everybody. Okay, who's next? Wow, yeah, we are running through the guests today, not going to lie. Everyone, just give us a minute. I know who this is. Hello.
Hi, Dean.
Hi. Do you support
Hi.
Trump?
I do.
Did you vote for him in the election?
No, I didn't because I'm a dual citizen of both the Caribbean and America, but I wasn't able to vote because I wasn't in the country at the time.
Okay, but like if you could have voted, you would have?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, I want to catch you off guard today. I see you on live every single day talking about trans individuals. So I know that the first thing that you're going to tell me is that you support Trump because he doesn't like trans individuals. Go ahead and prove to everybody go ahead, one moment. Go ahead and prove to everybody listening into this live that you do not spend 100% of your life dedicated to 0.5% of the American population, and give us one reason why you support Donald Trump outside of a disdain for trans individuals.
Well, I disagree with the original premise that Donald Trump has a disdain for trans people. That's the first thing I disagree with. So you're operating on a premise that I don't agree with. So I'm going to answer that question. I don't think that Donald Trump has disdain towards trans people. What Donald Trump is doing is protecting women and their sex-based rights. That's what he's doing. It has nothing to do with disdain for trans people.
Okay, well, we're going to disagree there, but I don't want to debate that with you. I want you to answer my question. Go ahead and prove to everybody watching this live that you don't spend 100% of your time focusing on 0.5% of the American population.
I don't spend
and give us one reason why you support Trump out of your disdain for trans individuals. And if you would rhetorically dispute that by saying that you don't have disdain, but you just want to protect women's rights. Okay, I just want you to answer the question. Give us one reason why you support Trump.
The premise of the question I disagree with.
Position towards trans individuals.
No, my position surrounding the trans movement is the number one reason that I support Donald Trump.
Okay, I know, but I want you to prove to the live that you don't spend 100% of your time dedicated on focusing on 0.5% of the population. Why do I need to prove that? That's my life. So you don't have any argument outside of like trans individuals?
My argument for the number one priority is the protection of women's sex-based rights. You didn't do this.
So what's your number two priority?
One second. You didn't do this for any other guest. You're evading the topic. When a person came up to discuss immigration with you, you didn't ask them.
So what's your number two priority?
You didn't ask them to give you a reason outside of immigration. You didn't do that. You're not engaging with the point.
1 second. I want to clarify. You're not engaging with the point.
I came to engage with you on the trans.
The very first thing I said when you joined this live is because you're interrupting me. The very first thing that I said when you joined this live was that I see you sitting on live for 4 hours a day debating on your disdain towards trans individuals.
I don't have.
So I wanted you to prove. Right, to everybody listening, myself included.
How do I have
you are interrupting me. I'm now going to place you on mute. The only reason why I'm placing you on mute is because you're interrupting me. If you do not interrupt me, one, I will not mute you. And if you do not interrupt me, two, I will not interrupt you. Is that fair?
Fair.
Okay, great. So I'm going to continue on with what I said. I brought you up for one reason, and I made this one reason incredibly clear the moment that you joined. All right. I see you on live every single day debating on why you think that the trans existence is invalid and a plethora of other claims, once again related to 0.5% of our population. And you know that you interrupted me again, so now I'm going to mute you. Okay. I don't know why we're doing this because every time you interrupt me, I have to restart. So now I'm going to mute you and I'm going to restart what I said because I lose track of even what I'm saying when I hear your voice coming in through the headphones. So now I'm going to restart. I made this clear the moment you joined the live, okay? Because once again, I know who you are. We've personally debated 4 or 5 times about trans individuals, about trans women in women's restrooms, if trans women are women. We've debated many, many times about this, all right? But the moment I brought you up, I clarified the reason I brought you up was because I want you to prove to everybody watching the stream that you do not spend 100% of your time focused on 0.5% of the American population, and that you don't just simply vote for a candidate or support a candidate based upon how they are going to make life worse for a few, but how they're going to make life better for all 330 million Americans in this country. Okay? You've made it clear that your disdain towards trans individuals is your number one priority. Well, we've already debated on that 4 or 5 times. Let's talk about your number 2. Debate me on anything but your position related towards trans individuals that we've already gone over 4 or 5 times and prove to everybody listening that that's not what you dedicate your existence to.
Are you finished?
Yeah. Go ahead and tell us why you support Trump.
So this is pathetic because what you're doing is you're saying that you're saying that you won't debate me on the topic I came up to debate you on, which is you running. So let's all type running in the chat for Dean here. You're running.
So
If
I have a question.
No, you're interrupting. Sorry, boo. So
Okay,
if
I'll ask
I'm
my
here-
question once you're done speaking.
Of course. So what you're doing is I'm up here to discuss a topic with you, and what you're doing is you're telling me to discuss any other topic but the topic I came up to discuss. That's disingenuous. If I come up to discuss a topic with you, you can't then say discuss anything else but that. And I'm going to make it very clear. My entire existence on this platform of TikTok is to fight for the sex-based rights of women, right, against the trans movement, and I will stand on that hill and live on it until the day I die. So I'm making
And
that
this is
clear.
why Democrats are winning elections, everybody.
Yeah,
This is
what-
exactly what. Don't interrupt me. This is exactly why I brought Edna up.
me.
This is
You just
exactly
interrupted-
why I brought Edna up, everybody. This is why Democrats are winning elections, such as the governor's office in Maine. Because when we have people on the right, such as Edna, that would rather focus on the 12 trans women competing in the NCAA compared to the 66 million American women and girls that have lost their elective access to abortion because Donald Trump overturned Roe v. Wade, this is what has lost Republicans elections in states like Maine, where we had the Democrat run on the agenda, while my opponent is hyper fixated on who's using the potties. I'm focused on filling the potholes. So the one reason why I brought you up was to simply demonstrate that there's so many Americans that place their bigotry and their hate towards 0.5% of the population over fascism, over human rights, right? Over a complete and total disdain for making our country better, for progressing our economy, for advocating for genuine reform in our foreign policy. None of it matters to them as long as 0.5% of the population has worse material conditions. It justifies it all, right?
Can I respond to what you're saying?
Yeah, for
'Cause
sure.
What you're doing is you're presupposing a lot of things. One, you're presupposing that it's bigotry. So I want the argument for that. What's the argument that what I'm saying is bigotry?
Once again, if I give you the argument that it's bigotry, that just goes right back into the overwhelming debate that I've already told you that we've had 4 or 5 times that I didn't bring you up for related to trans individuals. You won't even respond to my retort of the claim that that's the only thing you want to talk about because you rather want to redirect the conversation back into trans individuals. So I want to clarify this for everybody listening. This is crazy. Ate my cheese it there. So not only does this guest place 0.5% of the population over everything that I named off, but they even place making the material conditions for 0.5% of our population even over hearing me out for what I have to say on live. It is more important for them to be able to push this narrative and have conversations about how much they hate trans individuals than even addressing anything else I could voice. Right? It's insane. It's truly insane, and that's why I brought you up. That is why I brought you up, just to prove that to everybody. And I'm giving you an opportunity to show the 7.5 thousand people watching on TikTok right now that you have an ability to advocate for greater reform, not only in America, but on the global stage, to demonstrate to us all that 0.5% of the population is not what fuels your opinions related to American or global politics, and that you truly do place the average quality of life in this country and making the material conditions for 300 million people greater over making the material conditions for 0.5% of the population worse. And now you're going to find another way to redirect the conversation back into trans individuals, and you're going to make me look right, and you're going to make yourself look crazy. Go ahead.
You've interrupted me now 4 times after complaining about being interrupted. So let me just make something very clear to you. 0.5% of the population, if 0.5% of the population are causing harm, I'm going to address it. In the same way that less than 1% of the world population are serial killers, it doesn't mean that we allow serial killers to run rampant, do we? So stating that 1.5% of the population is doing something, that therefore I can't speak about it and that it is of less importance is logically fallacious. That's one. 2, there are 4 billion women who exist on this planet, and I'm going to fight for every single one of them. Now, yet again, if you don't want to engage with with what I'm trying to say, because this is what proves to me you're disingenuous. When any other guest came up here to discuss with you immigration, for example, you didn't say to them, "Give me any other reason why you don't support." Or some other reason outside of immigration. You discussed immigration with them. I am here to discuss with you my support of Trump in favor of what he has done for women's sex-based rights. Are you running, or are you going to discuss that with me?
I want to ask you a question about something that you just
You're
said.
not going to discuss it with me. Are you going to answer my question?
Whoa, so you're not going to allow me to address what you just said? That's really
Can
disingenuous.
you answer my question? Are you going to engage, or are you going to run away?
No, I'm going to ask you a question about something that you just said. Quit fucking steamrolling. What are you doing? Sorry, if you're gonna say something, like it's obviously gonna be the case that you're gonna allow me a chance to respond to what you said. So you said for like the other guests that came up here to talk about immigration, I let them talk about immigration with me. Let me ask you a question. Take the last 5 guests that I've talked about immigration and abortion. How many times do you think I've discussed immigration and abortion with them before the conversation?
I don't know.
How many times have we talked about trans individuals before now?
Me and you, twice.
There you go. There's your answer. The reason I brought you up onto this live today was just to show to everybody watching that you don't care about making the material conditions of the average American better. You don't care about furthering our country. You just care about further oppressing 0.5% of us. And that's the only thing you were ever willing to talk about in any circumstance ever, right? And the fact that you cannot comprehend that all I am trying to get out of you is one fucking reason why it is the case that you support Donald Trump outside of your fueled and directed and targeted oppression towards trans individuals is fucking insane. And I mean, there's about 1 billion ways to frame this position as well. We could frame this position in so many ways. Because if your greater claim is about just ensuring the better treatment of individuals in America, particularly fighting for the rights of women and girls, consider this. Okay, imagine that I grant you that being trans is wrong and you somehow get this out of Donald Trump and then all of a sudden trans people are oppressed and you win. And in this hypothetical reality that truly does further the fight for women and girls' rights. Well, guess what? I would say an overriding concern is the regression that Donald Trump is serving towards women and girls' rights related to the 66 million American women and girls that don't have access to elective abortion in this country directly because he opted to elect justices to the Supreme Court to overturn Roe v. Wade. Or people like Adriana Smith that are being treated as literal human incubators as a direct result of Donald Trump's approach to government and his approach to policy and his appointments to the Supreme Court and doing what he wants. Or the fact that you sit on live every single day acting as if trans women using the women's restroom is World War III, but then you support Donald Trump even though he's a cis man that has openly boasted about perving on naked and underage teenage girls and grown adult women within their dressing rooms. And here's my prediction. The moment I stop speaking and the moment you start speaking, you're not going to address or respond to anything that I said. You're going to be unwilling to have critical dialogue about the 66 million American women that are having their human rights violated when their Republican states are denying them access to elective lethal abortions. You're not going to respond to Adriana Smith. You're not going to respond to the 60 pregnant rape victims that try to get abortions and are shot down in 10 of our 50 states per day. And you are definitely not going to respond to the fact that Donald Trump is a culmination of everything you paint trans women to be, even though that's abundantly false, and you opted to put him in the Oval Office. You are instead going to try to find a way to redirect this conversation back to 0.5% of our population that has personally never done anything to hurt, harm, or affect you in any way and completely ignore everything I just said. So take it away. Prove me right.
Yeah, I'm gonna prove you right, and I'm gonna say to you that you just pivoted. So all of that Yappalations you read from Yappalations 4 verse 1 to 125, you just ignored everything that I came up here to discuss. Are you ready to discuss what I came up here to talk to you about? Are you going to keep performatively giving us the performative outrage that you continue to spew every time you're on this app and pretend as though you care? Because that's all you're doing. So that was a nothing burger with a side of word salad. So can I get an actual response to what I'm here to talk about? Or are you going to keep running away like your father did from his child support payments when you were younger? What are you going to do? Dean?
My dad actually did do that. Bro, that's kind of fucked up, bro.
Oh, boo-hoo. Can you answer?
What, boo fucking who? Wait, one second.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons that I grew up homeless. Whoa.
Yeah. Oh, no, boo-hoo. Don't care. You don't care about women.
Yo, this guy's a fucking dick.
You don't care about women.
Dude, this guy's an asshole. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Anyways, I appreciate you for proving me right. I mean... It does genuinely, it makes me happy that I could demonstrate to everybody watching the live that you can prove me right. So thank you so much. I got exactly out of you that I wanted to get out of you. And I really hope that this live is giving you what is necessary to take a step back and to reevaluate the world around you, where your priorities lie, and how you approach these conversations. Because if you could get absolutely fucked up and crystal balled, okay, actually, we're going to go ahead and trademark that word because everybody knows that guests will come up here and I will predict exactly what they are going to do, right? And then I talk about the invisible crystal ball in my hand, and then they prove me right every single time. If you're going to get absolutely fucked up and crystal balled because I was able to explicitly predict exactly what you were going to do, and then you did it and affirmed that you did it, I think that you need to reconsider, a lot of what you believe in, where your priorities lie, and how you operate yourself as a creator. So I appreciate you for allowing me to get that slam dunk on you. What is going on, Aaron? Do you support Trump?
What? Oh, I wasn't even meant to be on here. I don't know why I'm on here. I do apologize.
No worries at all. We're going to move on to the next guest. Yeah, we're going to trademark that term, crystal bald, everybody. And no, I agree with the people in the chat saying that they ran away. Yeah, they ran away from everything that I said. They ran away from addressing how the Trump administration is going to make the material conditions of 99.5% of us better. They ran away from the fact that there's overriding concerns that even if I were to grant that Donald Trump is furthering the anti-trans narrative and the TERFs are winning and that actually is hypothetically good for women and girls' rights, that there's still overriding harms in which would generate a larger infringement upon the rights and the livelihoods of women and girls in this country. They also ran away from the fact that Donald Trump is a culmination of everything they try to paint trans women to be, such as when he boasted about walking into the changing rooms of naked teenage girls. They ran away from the fact that his policy has led to women being treated as literal human incubators, just so they could be dissected and have children taken out of their dead bodies. They ran away from all of that. They ran away from addressing anything that I said. So for everybody in the comment section saying that they ran, I completely agree with you. You guys are right. In fact, let's show some love to everybody saying that, because oh my God, you guys are unfathomably based in tracking truth. Completely correct. But now, for the people that are in the chat, not saying that the guest ran, but rather that I ran, I'll have you ask yourself one very simple question. So if I bring this guest onto my live, affirming and acknowledging that I've already had 4 debates with him on the topic, and the very first thing that comes out of my mouth, not theirs, because I was the very first one to speak in the conversation, is can you please have you prove to us that you're not either a raging hypocrite because of overriding concerns that infringe upon the rights of women and girls in this country, or to address how Donald Trump is going to make the life of 99.5% of us better, and they try to do everything in their human power to not address that point, but rather to direct the conversation into the topic that I explicitly stated I wanted to hear anything from them but on that for the reasons I already granted. If that makes me a runner, then you just simply don't know what a runner is. But we got that next guest loaded up in here. What's going on, Mariah? Do you support Trump?
Sorry, I didn't realize you muted me. I do support Trump in some ways. I don't agree with all of what he does, obviously. But I'd just say, like, the number one reason I support Trump is because I am pro-life. And that is something that's really big to me. So I don't think I would ever be able to become a liberal just for that specific reason.
True. How about we have a conversation about why you're pro-life?
Okay, yeah, sure.
Great. So before we do, just real quick, I'm going to go to think a handful of people. But no, let's definitely talk about why you're pro-life. In the meantime, super duper quickly, let me go ahead and thank Angela for the $10 over on Venmo. I really appreciate you for the love, Angela. For cooking Edna, who is in drag on TikTok as a fictional woman but hates trans people, W. Dean. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. It's been a long time coming for them. So I'm glad that I got an opportunity to do that. They've been needing to get cooked like that for a while, so it was about time that they got cooked. So that was awesome. As well as Hannah, thank you so much for the $10 on Venmo as well. I really appreciate you for the love. Show some love to Angelica and Hannah down below in that chat. As well as Megan, thank you so much for the $50 over on Venmo. Let's get 500 Megan W's. Megan says, "Holy crap, cook." Yeah, that one's been building up for a while, Megan. I really appreciate you so much for the $50 donation. That is so incredibly kind of you. Let's get at least 500 Megan W's down below in that comment section, literally right now. As well as Jesse. Oh, that was from a while ago. I already thank you for that. You're awesome, Jesse. As well as real quick, I'd like to thank Chelsea for the $1 over on PayPal. You guys rock. As well as Charlotte for the $7 over on PayPal for the crystal ball fund. Yeah, this one I think I need an actual crystal ball. As well as Charlotte. Sorry, another Charlotte. It's funny enough, 2 Charlottes. Another Charlotte says, "Thank you for the $10. I really appreciate you so much for the love, Charlotte." Hey, I reached out to Katie. She's received over 20 death threats after the debate. Please remind your viewers not to do that. Yes. Do not do that. Do not give death threats to the people that come up on the live and debate. Seriously. As well as Jason with the $20, actually talking about Katie. Shout out to Jason saying, "I'm sorry that you had to debate Katie." The YouTube chat was going off about the toe thing. Yeah, we never even addressed the toe thing. I just kind of let it slide. But anyways, take it away. Tell us why you're pro-life, Mariah.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm pro-life because I mean, it's kind of in the name. I believe that every single life matters, and I believe that life begins at conception. So I guess that's just like the main reason. It's just because I care so deeply about the unborn lives, because I feel like they can't voice it, so I'm trying to voice it for them.
Wait, so I want to clarify. Are you vegan?
No.
So not every single life matters. So why did you say they did?
I mean human life.
Human life. Okay, thank you so much for the clarification. All right.
I mean, and I do care about like dogs and stuff. I just believe that it's fine to eat, you know.
Right. So, is it murder, and should it be illegal to pull the plugs on brain dead patients in the hospital?
This is a really difficult thing because we actually had to do this to one of my relatives, and so I don't think that it's should be illegal, just because, you know, yeah.
Wait, whoa, okay. Well, how come it should be illegal for a woman to get an abortion because you're killing a human that's alive, but it shouldn't be illegal to pull the plug on a brain dead family member even though they're a human that's alive? That seems contradictory on the surface level.
So that's just because the mass majority of the time you don't come back from being brain dead. Like, that's something that is permanent. Like, it's not going to go back on that. And the reason I think that it's like okay or not okay to kill a baby is because it is going to have life. Because like your life specifically, Dean, it started at conception. So like that's what I believe.
Okay, so is your position that you think it should be illegal to kill fetuses because they'll have future experiences like ours?
I'm sorry, could you reword that? Sorry.
So is your position that it should be illegal to kill fetuses because they'll have conscious experiences in the future?
Well, I guess like for me personally, like I don't think no matter what, you shouldn't kill the baby because yes, it is going to have a life. Like, you're not even giving it a chance to have a life.
But by life, oh, you got an echo. Are you driving? Yeah, I think that Mariah is driving. Unfortunately, we're going to have to move on. And this next guest will probably be the last guest of the night, but let's go to get the next guest up here. If you're watching and you would like to support me, you can find my Venmo and my PayPal in the link tree in my bio. You'll get 100% of the proceeds over on those platforms. The Venmo and the PayPal can also be found in the pinned comment on the YouTube stream. What is going on, Steve? Do you support Trump? Okay.
Yeah, this is...
Ah, fuck. I kicked you before you started talking, but then you stayed up here. And then you started to talk. Feel free to hop back in that queue, but you did sound young. Let's go and get that next guest. We got Colton loading up into the box, everybody. We got Colton loading up into the box. Liv, thank you for the $5 over on Venmo. I really appreciate you so much for the love, Liv. And Lisa, thank you for the $50 over on Venmo. Jesus, Lisa. Let's get 500 Lisa W's down below. Lisa says, does she support people who vote for paid maternity/paternity leave, universal health care and childcare, free school lunches? If she's voting against, she's not pro-life, just pro-birth. They're always pro-birth. We honestly should talk about that more. What is going on, Colton? Do you support Trump?
Yeah.
How old are you?
18.
What year were you born in?
2004.
Your math sucks. Goodbye, fetus. They left on their own. Their math was so bad, they left on their own.
Hey.
Hey, what's going on, man? Howdy.
Hey, bro. How you going?
Oh, how you going? Are you American?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Well, the 3 rules are you got to be an American, you got to be at least 18, and you got to be ready and willing to come up here and debate me on why you support Trump. Now, if you fulfill those criteria, feel free to hop in that queue and I'll happily bring you up. Next guest is loading up. If you're in that queue, make sure that means that you do indeed support Donald J. Trump. We'll happily get you up here. What is going on, Sky? Do you support Trump? Sky, hello?
Oh,
that
can you hear me?
Yeah, hi. How old are you?
I'm 27.
Okay, do you support Trump?
Yes, but not fully.
Okay, you have a little bit of an echo. Do you have like any other device going on in the background? Do you have like your phone connected to a speaker or anything?
No, I don't. I'm sorry.
Okay, no worries. How about just take it away? Why do you support Trump?
So I support Trump mainly because of border crisis. So the border patrol, in my opinion, he did an okay job in his first term. And another reason I support him, this is a very touchy subject because I'm going to sound hypocritical and I don't care, but I support him because I am pro-life, but I'm not pro-life to the point of where you were talking about that lady who was in Georgia, I believe, and she was kept alive to like give birth to the baby and she had a C-section. Like, that's where I draw the line about pro-life, honestly. But I don't think that's right. But the main reason I support Trump is because of border. And I do see comments, no one's illegal on stolen land. Yes, no one is illegal on stolen land, but I do think our country should have borders, and I do think we should have laws on our country, and I do think that we should have better, like, immigration systems.
Okay.
Like, yes, I
So,
do.
so
I
do you
do
do you
support-
disagree with Donald Trump's mass deportation?
Not entirely, but yes, because I don't think, and this is where I'm going to sound hypocritical, and I'm sorry, but I don't think that we should be deporting illegals that are actually contributing to our economy.
Okay, well, like the undocumented immigrants as a whole, they contribute to the American economy. 1.1 trillion through 1.7 trillion dollars per year.
Right.
In fact, I don't think that you could like really find an undocumented immigrant that wouldn't contribute to the economy in one way or another. Like even undocumented immigrants that don't work still need things to survive, meaning that they spend money in the economy, meaning that they contribute to the economy. But the demographic as a whole is incredibly economically is an economic plus. So would you say that we shouldn't deport anybody from the demographic as a whole?
That's where it gets tricky. And honestly, I think we should have, like I said, better.
How about this? Well, let's talk about what Trump's actually doing, because you're saying you actually
Yes.
support Trump. He's actually doing a mass deportation. Do you support it or do you not support it?
No, sir.
Okay, so you don't support his mass deportation. So then why would you
No.
support his border policy? Because A, he hasn't implemented any new border policy. The one thing that he's done is send a couple troops down there. That's not a long-term solution. That's a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. The main reason why there's significantly less crossings now is because of human and constitutional rights of undocumented immigrants in this country are being violated, such as Abrigo Garcia when the Trump administration illegally deported him to a center for terrorists, right? Obviously, the incentive for undocumented entry is not just the fact that the legal means of entry are unattainable, but also because they want a better life. But the reason that we've seen less undocumented entry is because that incentive has been eradicated because they don't think they'll have a better life if they're having their human and constitutional rights violated. But I'd say that's a very immoral way of reducing undocumented entry.
Yes. So that's the thing, because yes, he's doing a mass deportation right now, and it's happening all over our country, and you see it in liberal states such as my state. My state is blue. So you see it in liberal states, and you also see it in red states. I'm not going to say that deportation is not happening in red states either, but I'm just saying you see it all over the country. You see it happening all over, but there's a thing where illegal is illegal, right? And then there's a thing where it's like no one's illegal on stolen land, and we're all immigrants. If you think about it, we're technically all immigrants. Yes, some of us were born here. Yes, that's how we got citizenship. But if you think about it, we are literally all immigrants. And
Okay,
what I'm trying
I'm sorry. Could you refute like the argument I gave you? Because you said that you support Donald Trump because
Yes.
of his border policy, and I showed you how he hasn't really implemented any border policy, and the reason that we've mostly seen a decrease in undocumented entry has been to like immoral things, such as like violating the human and constitutional rights of undocumented immigrants that are already in this country.
Right. So the thing is, the reason why I supported Donald Trump or voted for Donald Trump again, because in 2016, I didn't vote. I'm going to be real, and I'm just going to say this. And I understand what you're trying to say, sir, and I'm sorry if I'm not getting it. But what I'm trying to say is, yes, you are correct. He hasn't really done anything new. But what I'm trying to say is 2016 to 2020, I know that doesn't matter anymore, but 2016 to 2020, we saw people come into the country. We saw deportations. We saw all that stuff,
Okay,
right?
okay, please respond to the points that I made, refuting your reason.
I know, but I can't really hear you. I heard some of them. So can you please repeat yourself? I'm sorry. My audio sucks.
Yeah, I've repeated them 3 times. Just please listen this 4th time. You said that you support Donald Trump because of his border policy. Doesn't have
Yes.
any new border policy. The main reason why we've seen a decrease in undocumented entry is because he's been violating the rights of the undocumented immigrants in this country, such as their human and constitutional right to due process. That's very immoral. That's not something you should support.
So I'm going to sound very uneducated, but what do you mean by due process?
like an appearance in front of a judge to determine if they actually are an undocumented immigrant, or in the case of Abrigo Garcia, an appearance in front of a judge to determine if he did have a valid withholding order or if he was a member of MS-13.
So can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
How do you feel about the borders and about the mass deportations?
Okay. Well, you just got my thoughts on the border, and I also don't really like mass deportation. But I want to examine why you do like Donald Trump. You told us that you like Donald Trump because of his border policy. Could you please respond to my critiques of his border policy?
Yes. Okay. So your critiques on the border policy is honestly valid. It is honestly, you're very doing it good.
Okay.
You're
So then why do you support Trump?
because of what he did in the last term, and
Like
that's
what?
why I. So okay. So how do I say this? Biden, during the Biden Kamala Harris administration, there was a lot of like, we had open borders. That's what people are saying. We had open borders, and there was 300,000 children that went missing over the borders.
So
And then, so during
first you told me that you support him because of what he did during his first term.
Yes.
But you're
So
not
because
even
he didn't
talking
allow
about his
children-
first term.
No, I am, because he didn't allow children to go missing during his first term.
Okay. All right. There was not 300,000 missing children. What you're talking about is 30,000 children that did not show up to their court appointments for a process of amnesty in America. And we will only have more children not show up to their court appointments for the process of amnesty in America because he removed the CBP-1 app, which was an app that informed children and adults alike that were seeking amnesty in this country of when their court appointments would be.
Okay, can I ask a really stupid question?
Yeah.
Is that really all what this is about?
Like the
Like
missing
the
children?
whole fight between, hold on, is that really like what all this is about? The whole fight between the left and the right is that there's misinformation?
Yeah, a lot.
So, okay, hold on. You got me thinking.
Nice. That's what I want. Even if I don't seem if I don't like sound happy or ecstatic or anything, it's just because I'm really tired. I'm at the end of the 4 hours today, and I'm definitely feeling it. I think I'm gonna go like sit down at a restaurant after this. You know, there's a local restaurant. It's called Ben Burgers. They sell a really nice burger, and I don't eat out often, but I think I'm gonna do that after this. Anyways, continue.
So, the president before Trump was Obama, right? And I have a question. Just hear me out. Did he do due process? I was honestly a little too young.
Yeah, no. So we did see that he. I mean, I can't really name any like court case that concluded that he was deporting undocumented immigrants without due process. So yeah, he did.
Okay. And here's another question I have for you, sir. Obviously, you were old enough to vote because you were doing this. Why did you? I'm not saying you did, but why did you vote for Kamala?
For sure. I'm going to go over this with you. This will probably just be like the final last push from me for the day, and then I'll move on. Yo, Z, thank you for the $7 over on PayPal towards the Burger Fund. I appreciate you for the love, Z. That is incredibly kind of you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Z. That is awesome. So first and foremost, her name is pronounced Kamala. And then second of all, the reasons why I voted for Kamala are because I believe that she had better foreign policy, domestic policy, and character. If you'd like more of a little like critical examination on like particularly what her character and policy looked like, I would honestly just look up Dean Withers on TikTok and scroll back to videos posted like before the new year, because I used to talk about that a lot. I obviously don't anymore because she lost the election. But if you're more so looking for a really long video on why I don't like Trump, I mean, I know that you can find a 15-minute video of me going through every single reason why I don't support Trump. It's somewhere in my reposts on my main account. But yeah, that's about it. I'm gonna go ahead and move on at this point, but I appreciate you so much for coming up.
No, thank you for being nice, and thank you for actually having a debate with me and sharing your thoughts.
I appreciate that. That's incredibly kind of you, Sky. All right, everybody. I'm not gonna lie. I'm really tired today. Very, very, very tired today. let's see here. Sarah, thank you so much for the $10 over on Venmo. Shout out to you down below in that chat. As well as Aslan, thank you for the $25 over on Venmo. Aslan says, I do not know how your head does not explode debating ignorant person after ignorant person. Dude, it's pretty bad today, man. Today was a particularly bad day. I'm not going to lie. But thank you for the love, Aslan. And then Sky with the $10 on Venmo saying, as a Sky, we do not claim her. And then Lillian, thank you for the $15 over on Venmo saying, get a shake with your burger. Oh, you know what? They don't sell shakes. I'm pretty sure they have like pretty good pie though. Maybe I'll go get a nice piece of pie. But yeah, honestly, I've been trying to like reward myself every once in a while with something like that. Like a nice burger. Nice burger sounds fire. Jacqueline, thank you so much for the $10 over on Venmo saying Crystal Ball Fun. Sent a message on TikTok. Hope it helps your day. I'll check it out. Thank you so much for the $10. Now, for everybody tuning in, honestly, I think the stream is over. I am going to go and get that burger. That burger sounds nice. That burger sounds nice. But guys, look at this guitar real quick. I told you that I was going to get this yesterday, and I did. I love it. It's such a beautiful, beautiful instrument. I've been really loving this. Yeah. It's a very nice piece. Play it? Okay. I've been working on some tunes. Everybody. We'll give y'all a little something. I don't know. There's some chords that I was throwing together last night. I've been trying to work on Evergreen too. Evergreen is a fucking hard one. Evergreen is a difficult one. Oh, some Evergreen. Look at that. There's some Evergreen. Yeah, hell yeah. I got carried away there. Fireball, thank you for the $10 over on YouTube Super Chat requesting the Wonderwall. Fuck no. Emma with the $10 on Venmo saying, keep it up with the guitar, man. I appreciate that. Thank you, Emma. Something that I've been trying to learn recently is like flamingo style music. But the strumming pattern is like really fucking difficult. The strumming pattern is so difficult. But I've been getting better at it. Look at the progress. Check out the progress. Oh, that one's hard though. That one's really hard. Because you gotta it's like a flick of the wrist, and that one's hard. That one's a little bit hard to get down. That one's a little difficult. Anyways, that's what I've been doing on the guitar. Did I pronounce it wrong? Is it flamenco? Sorry, not flamingo. Flamenco. Sorry, my bad, everybody. Apparently, I can't speak. Everlong. That's in drop D. I'd have to tune my guitar, so I actually can't play Everlong. Can't do that, quite frankly. What's something else I could do real quick? Wait, okay, am I still mispronouncing it? Let's see. Flamenco. There we go. Flamenco. I've learned something new. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I've learned something new. Flamenco. Look at that. I've also been working on some Neil Young. that's Neil Young. I forget the name of that one. Heart of Gold. Heart of Gold's the name of that one. Anyways. All right, everybody. Oh, Parker just texted me. Yes. Okay, it looks like we're going to raid Parker. Looks like we're going to raid Parker. Oh, also, I just saw somebody say the name Jesse in the chat. You guys want to know something crazy? Dude, Jesse from Breaking Bad fucking followed me on Instagram and then DM'd me saying like his wife like really liked my content and put him onto it. Like Jesse from Breaking Bad. No way, that's crazy. Yeah, Aaron Paul. That's fucking nuts, huh, guys? Yeah. So did Homelander from The Boys. I'm kind of scared of him though. He plays oh my god, he plays a terribly scary character. Homelander. Jesus Christ. But I mean, obviously he's gonna be lived out. I mean, look at the show. Look at the show that they do. Anyways, I'm gonna go to an end. Everybody head over to @ParkerGetAJob on TikTok and YouTube. He's gonna be doing debates for another 4 hours. I'm all pooped out for the night. I'm gonna go get some food. You guys take care. Peace and love, guys. Bye-bye.